Who's Justin Porter?
Yo! We just hit 200K!
Bringing a fresh perspective to wedding films, Justin Porter is introducing a reality TV approach that's taking the whole industry by storm.
I remember asking Christian, what's the theme for our wedding? And he said, chaos.
What's the biggest lesson that you've learned about love making wedding films?
The couples that really are ready for marriage are the couples who...
What pushback do you get from the audience?
I get more pushback from other wedding filmmakers than anybody.
People who reach the pinnacle of success in society's eyes, having all the money, all the cars, all the toys, if they do not find passion in life, they will feel empty. What does it mean to you to leave a legacy?
When you lose people that you love, right? Mm-hmm. My dad passed away 11 years ago. That was my best friend. And it just, boom, like that, it was over. He was a truck driver. The night that it happened, he was like, call me at about 11 or 12 when you get off. He was like, make sure I'm up, so you'll be my alarm. I was like, all right, cool, I got you. That night, I got off work. I was exhausted, bro. I was like, I don't feel like doing it. So I was like, I'm just calling in the morning. Get a text in the middle of the night, his girlfriend. And so I say that to my couples because I'm like, man, like the reason we really interview your family is because I know what it's like to lose somebody that I love and not have any media of that person. I hope that the industry shifts its mindset to start preserving these voices.
Welcome to the Sacred Thomas Podcast.
Hold on real quick. I noticed that only 3% of the people who watch this channel are actually subscribed. Could you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button? It helps the channel tremendously. And the bigger that the channel gets, the better the podcast will get. I appreciate you and enjoy the video. All right, we live. Sitting down with Justin Porter. How you doing, man? And I want to ask you that question, but give me the long answer.
The long answer. Like the real answer.
Yeah, how you doing, man?
I'm stressed, man. That's like, I feel like, I'm just the entrepreneur life, man. It's like, the real me is just like, I'm good. And then, well, I guess the surface level me is I'm good. Everything's good. But then the real me is like, man, we got this. You got that. You got to finish. It's just like, it's just stress. Like that's to sum it up. But it ain't like the anxiety, depression stress. It's just like there is so much that requires me to be in the middle stress. That makes sense?
Bro,
like
you are preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
It's like being an entrepreneur, you have signed up to have never-ending stress and you learn how to deal with it.
But you love it because it's like, I can't imagine being like, oh yeah, like, some company wants me to work for them. I can't imagine doing a 9 to 5 again.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it's stressful, but I wouldn't give it up. But I'm just, there's days where I'm like, you know what? It'd be nice to just watch Netflix and not feel like I gotta, go do all these other things. Like just unapologetically relax.
Yeah. What do you got going on right now that's, stressing you out?
Oh man,
you said you do this, and this. Like
I think the biggest thing for me is I haven't figured out, I feel like a lot of us, we start businesses, we go down this avenue of like, working for ourselves because there's some sort of passion that sparked it, right? Like I really want to be a filmmaker. Yeah. So I go down this path, I'm excited about it. And I think now I'm at that point where it's like, what do I do if I can't be a filmmaker? Yeah. And I can't answer it. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, what would my family do if all of a sudden, like, knock on wood, something prevented me from filming? What would we do?
Right.
Like, and that's where I'm like, that's where this stress and this anxiety comes from. Because now it's like, I don't know what is after. What's my end goal? What's the exit strategy? What's the income stream look like when you take me out of the driver's seat? So since I can't answer that, it's stressful because now it's like, am I going to be working like this forever?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when does it get to a point where it's like, I've worked so hard, here's the business I built,
right. It's
growing and thriving, and I can kind of sit back a little bit and enjoy the fruits of all the labor.
Yeah.
So, but as of right now, I feel like I have these ideas, I throw it at the wall, and then that idea sounds good, and then it just requires me even more.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So all these ideas we keep having, they all sound good on paper, but then it's like, it still requires me to be at the forefront.
Right.
So that stress comes from thinking that, there's just no ending. There's no way to relax, you know? Like I'm chasing that dream of like, all right, me and my wife going on vacation, business is working back home.
Yeah.
Like everything is good, you know? And I know that there's going to be a day for it, but I can't see that now. I don't have that vision. I don't know what that item is, what that piece is going to be, or what it's going to look like to get me to that point.
Right. I can relate a lot actually, because, you know, at least based off your social media, you've built a brand around you.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what attracted me to actually asking you to come here. Like you have an amazing brand. And I've done the same thing. You know, everything that I have is labeled Sacred Thomas, Sacred Thomas, Sacred Thomas. So once you remove me, you know, it's what is there. So I actually relate. Like you have no idea. But for my audience, they don't really know. They may or may not know who you are. Who's Justin Porter?
All right. Well, I am a passionate wedding filmmaker. That's my corporate answer.
All right.
But nah, man, I'm just a filmmaker, dude. I love storytelling. I film weddings for a living. And I think our claim to fame has been introducing this reality TV approach to what normally is seen as being done one way, into a whole new, like we just gave the wedding space a whole new facelift, if you want to call it that. And so that kind of is what put us on the map in terms of, you know, work ethic, work quality. People love that. And then the other side of that coin is people love seeing the journey that we're, in a sense, taking them on. Like our followers, everything we post, like I post the wins, the losses, I post everything. Like nothing to me is not post-worthy, because if I do something and it blows up, it's like I want to share it with y'all. Yeah. And if I try something and it's like it falls flat, then I'm gonna be like, look, this is what I did, but I feel like I could have done it this way. And so like I feel like our social media really blew up because of that passion for storytelling, as well as like just being open and like bringing people in, showing them behind the curtain, and not being surface level with them. Like I'm me online, offline, you know, random Tuesday, random Sunday. Like this is who I am.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think it's really important for you to actually post the losses too, because on social media, not enough of us do that.
Everybody posts the wins.
Yeah, not enough of us do that.
It's always great on social media.
Yeah, including myself. I need to figure, like, so how do you go about figuring out what losses to post? Because I feel like that's something I need to do even more.
Yeah. Man, honestly, I think it just comes down to, like, I gotta give a lot of credit to my wife, because she's the one who shares all our stuff, for one.
Okay.
And so I think the biggest thing is that, like, that took me out. Like, you post all your content?
Yeah.
So if you switch and just like create a stuff and just put it in Dropbox and send it to somebody else, your content, I'm not saying that your content's not good, but I will say that it could be better because of that. I think when I was in the driver's seat of posting my content, I was always like in my head, like, do I put this out there? Don't post that. Don't say that. Don't do that. But my wife does it. She don't know film terms, and you know what I mean? Like she's just posting it because she liked it. And so it immediately took me out of the deciding factor whether or not this was a good shot, that was funny, this wasn't funny, don't say this, you're gonna make certain people mad. Like she just posted. And so I think sometimes it takes us removing ourselves from deciding what is to be posted. It took me a while, but then after maybe 4 or 5 months of her doing it, we were just growing rapidly. Yeah. We still are. And I think that's like the big thing. Like in terms of what losses to post, you'll probably be in your mind more about it. Like, I shouldn't share this. Like they not gonna like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But somebody else that is just here to post for you, they're gonna see it. They're gonna chop it up. They're gonna follow the trends. Yeah. Like she knows all the sounds and all the, you know, trendy music. Yeah. She finds all that and she's like, oh, I could use these shots for this. And then she'll just throw something together in like 5 minutes, and then they do numbers on social media.
Right.
So,
yeah, no, that makes sense. And it's probably, from your perspective, also, yeah, because you're looking at every piece of footage from the mind of a filmmaker. Yep. It's hard to turn it off. It's paralyzing, you know?
I walked in here and I'm literally like, what license he using?
I'm like, don't judge me.
Immediate, I start judging, bro. Like immediately, I'm like, how do you like this set? Okay, he's doing reverse key. Yeah, we got blue in the, like, it's just, for me, it's hard to turn that off. Even when we go to social media, like we make something, and for the longest, I was like, nah, I want my social media like pristine. I want like all high quality thumbnails. Like I wanted it to look good. And then my wife was over here like, just post, nobody cares. I was like, yeah, they do. They care about the aesthetic. And it's like, nah, they don't care. They just care about the content.
Yeah.
And so it took a lot for me to just be like, all right, let me just disassociate with social media in terms of like, it's mine, but I don't own what goes out.
Right.
And so the benefit to that is that now when we create stuff, it's always off the cuff.
Yeah.
Like you were asking, like, what losses do we pose? It could be just me in the studio talking to Alex about something like, yo, man, this didn't go right. Like, you know, I hate that this happened. Like, and I'm showing something. And then because I'm not so worried about making the content, my wife could record it and then cut that same conversation up and post it. And then now our audience is like, dang, dude, that's crazy. You thought that. I feel this same way. Or like, I've gone through that same thing as a creator. So it shows them like the vulnerable, the reality side of it. Like, I got all these followers, but like I'm still human. I'm still stumbling and trying to perfect my craft just like everybody else. Absolutely.
That makes so much sense. And it's actually, this is completely different from, you know, wedding filmmaking in general, but and it's not even a loss, but there's something that I want to get out there that, have you seen the interview I did with Preston Smiles or any clips from it? No? Okay.
Vaguely. I know I not see your stuff.
Yeah.
So
he doesn't care about me, guys.
I do. I care a lot.
I'm playing, bro.
So you got a large following, so you know what I mean. Like you get a lot of, like, social media has become a huge distraction.
So much, yeah.
And so as much as I love it, it's like, man, I really, like, I joked about this in my boot camp. I'll put it out there because it's real. Like, I literally only reply to DMs like twice or 3 times a day, and it's usually when I'm in the bathroom. Like that, because that's like the only dedicated time where I can't do nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting on the toilet like boop, 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 like, and you just reply. But like, other than that, when I'm out, when I'm working, when I'm filming, like I got like not enough time to finish these tasks. So then it's like social media just, if I open it, it's like a trap. I'm stuck. Yeah. So
they build it like that on purpose, you know?
Oh yeah, they're winning. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But now it's like I gotta prioritize. I keep all the notifications off and I go in. But anyways, no, not to drift on that.
Yeah, no, it's good. That's why it's actually based off, especially based off the explanation. It's good you haven't seen it. You know, that means you got your priorities in order. But so in today's world, I feel like again, you said we post our wins, and I have an audience that, you know, I speak a lot about relationships, and I speak a lot about, you know, self-help, motivation, inspiration. Those are the types of people I normally interview, right? Yeah. So Preston Smiles, he's an abundance coach, amazing dude, amazing family, amazing wife. And he posted this, I posted a clip from the podcast that went crazy. You know, he was speaking about his love for his wife, had a beautiful message. So many people resonated with it. You know, the girls were like, you know, I want a man like that, all that. Yeah. There was like a buildup of a huge thread of comments of people who completely just discarded the message because his wife is not black. So,
like, I already know.
So normally, you know, I read the comments. I don't read all of them, but I try to read as much as I can and respond to as many people as I can.
Yeah.
That shit pissed me off.
Yeah.
Because
I've seen that.
Yeah, because it's, and I've wanted to talk about it, but I've hesitated because I do understand, I understand where it comes from. Yeah. You know, I understand that there is a subsection of black men that have said, oh, I don't date black girls. I don't do that. There's people who will degrade black women to uplift other races. Right. I think that's corny. I think that's corny. Yeah. However, if someone finds someone else who is literally their perfect person in every which way, and they happen to be a different race, what's wrong with that? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Especially, what pissed me off even more is the fact that these people are saying that, you know, when you get with someone outside of your race, you're taking money out of the black community. You're doing things like that. They don't know Preston's story. This man has gone to Africa, built wells, spoke to people in jails has put so much more money back into the Black community. Very pro-Black.
Yeah.
And the people in the comments, if you ask them, what have you done? So it's just that's a situation where I haven't spoken about it yet.
Yeah.
But now that I'm having this conversation with you, I have. So like you're like you know, you're saying there's things that may ruffle some feathers, but I think some things need to be said.
Yeah.
You know, so it can be put in perspective. At least having that conversation, it might make one of those people just think a little bit. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like as soon as you said that, as soon as you said, like, I don't know who he is. I don't know what ethnicity his wife is, but as soon as you said
Greek.
She's Greek.
Yeah.
As soon as you said that she wasn't Black, I immediately, like, I've dealt with that.
Yeah.
Right. My wife is white, and yeah, it's like I feel like, you know, I usually keep quiet with stuff like that because it's just the whole politics and like you know, like I'm Black. I know the obstacles that I'm always going to be thrown at. You know, like work is always going to be different for me because I'm Black. You know, and so I recognize that. And is it fair? No, but can I do something to change it today? Nah. So it's just, I'm just gonna play the game. Yeah. I'll play the cards that's dealt to me. You know, I didn't, you know, change my race or my beliefs or anything like that, or change who I am.
Yeah.
But if it means I gotta do something different in order to make sure that we're okay, then I'll do that. Yeah. The whole not dating or not having a Black wife, like I've seen those comments, and I think it's even more so in the beginning when we you know, started Porter Family of 5 TikTok. Because my wife is white, everyone's just like, oh, like, you know, like, oh, like we're growing, and then they kind of stump that growth because they would rather see myself with a Black woman, you know? And I'm like, it has nothing to do with who I date, or, you know, it's not like I decided like, oh, I'm like you said, like I don't date Black girls. Like I fell in love with who I fell in love with, you know? And her and I met on Instagram.
Okay.
We're talking 3-4 months for just DMs, you know? Yeah. And then it was a conversation. I fell in love with the conversation with her. Like she was at a different level that I wanted to be at, you know? And so more so was like, I didn't even think I could get her because she was so I say this to her all the time, like, you're so put together, and I'm over here still trying to figure it out. And what I realized, because if we compare that to, you know, just in general, I don't, this is why it's such a fine line, because when you say certain things, you know, I feel like it's more so in our culture as Black people, we are so quick to destroy another Black person than reason with them. Right. You know, so you say the wrong thing and it's straight down, like just everybody grab every weapon and start, you know, trying to destroy this person. But in the past though, my relationships, they weren't as supportive. You know, it was like I tried to move right, and then my partner was like, that's stupid. Like, you're not gonna make, you know what I mean? Like, you won't make money doing that. You won't do anything like that. Or they'll see it as like, that's corny. Like, I wanted to be a photographer, filmmaker, and my relationships at the time were just like, you lame. You know what I mean? But that energy is coming from your partner. Yeah. You know, so when I finally found someone like my wife, who, again, wasn't like I was just out trying to find a specific race, but when I found her, and she was already like so established, like in the military, had a whole career, just was all her, you know, I's and T's were crossed and dotted. Yeah. Everything was good. And I'm over here just like trying to figure out what I'm gonna do.
Were you doing photography, filmmaking at the time?
Barely. Like, it was like I was doing like $50 music videos. Okay. Like, I'm talking like I just got started basically. And she's just in my ear like, dang, you should try this. What if we make you an ad for this? Like, just like, you know what I mean? Like, just pushing. And so like for me, like that's how I fell in love with her. It had nothing to do with race or, you know, anything like that. It was the fact that I had the support that I needed as a man. And I'm gonna say it because I feel like a lot of people need to hear it, but you don't always get that out of our Black queens. Like, a lot of the time they tear you down more than they help build you up. And I think as men, any race, I think that's what we look for. We look for somebody who will push us. Like, we still want to feel like a man and still feel strong and feel like, okay, cool, I got the family on my back. But at the same time, we want to we want a relationship where we can be vulnerable enough to be like, look, what should I do? Right. And then our queen is there to help us.
Right, right.
And so we don't always get that support. And I feel like that's what I hate to see, that even on other people's pages, when you see the Black community attack another Black person because that person is married to a white person, or that person is married to somebody that's not Black. It's like, you know, like what good is that doing even? And I really only see that in our culture. I don't ever see, oh, I can't believe she's married to a Black guy. Like, you know, I don't.
I mean, it definitely happens.
It happens.
It definitely happens.
It's not as like cliquey, you know. It doesn't. I don't see that type of energy the same way.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely happens with us, but you know, it's tough, man. I've seen it with you know white people don't like it when.
Yeah,
it definitely happens on that side too.
Yeah, it do.
But either way, Black, white, Hispanic, whatever. If you find someone who what we want more than anything is appreciation, and you found someone who appreciated you, who pushed you forward, and we want that. Yeah. So it doesn't matter the race. If you have someone that's not doing that, it's not going to work out,
regardless of the race.
Yeah, regardless of the race. But let's actually move on to something else. So I actually want to go all the way back. What got you to this point? Take me back. You said that you met your wife and she was put together. You're shooting $50 music videos. I completely relate with the $50
hustle.
Yeah, the hustling part. So like, how did you get from that to having a amazing business where you're shooting reality TV style weddings?
Yeah, man. I think it was a long journey, and like, you know, I feel like I'm gonna say this a lot. It's so corny. I feel like it's corny, but I keep giving credit to my wife, because it was like she continued to see the vision before I even thought about it.
Yeah,
like she was always like 2-3 steps ahead of me, and I think like. And like even today, like for example, like she's the one who's like, I see you next year speaking and presenting more. And I'm like, nah. And here we are getting booked, you know, to go to St. Kitts to present. And you know what I mean? So she sees these like the progression before I even get a chance to. And so in the beginning, I was like filming like fitness videos and like just stuff that had no real substance, right? Like nothing, it wasn't like it was super creative work. And she was like, oh, I wanted to do short films, and she knew that. And she was like, I think you could do weddings. I think you can do stuff like this, you know? And we started growing just from the curiosity and what weddings would bring us, you know? It was just like most of us, it's just like another avenue of income. And then I fell in love with like the more family-oriented part of weddings. Okay. And I think that's the part like that really, that's low-key what keeps me filming weddings. Like if you take the relationship part out of it, and like if I had to just film something that was just like a trend, I'd be very disconnected from the day. Because like I think I gravitate to family bonds and the relationships that families have, their friendships. Like I love to see the bonds that other people have created. I love to know how you got to a point where you wanted to marry this woman. Like how did what clicked in your head that was like, all right, this is my person. So I love figuring that out. And over the course of like, this has been what, 7 years? Yeah, 7 years now. You know, that in the beginning to just slow-mo montage to now filming weddings with reality approach is just because of just honestly like the pure desire to tell the story, like the full picture. You know, like if you were getting married today, I don't want to just know like why you like her, why you're in love with her. I want to know about the past. Why is she different from who you've been with? To make you go, I want to marry her. You know what I mean? And so I want to uncover that in the film. I want to build that in the story.
Okay, that's awesome. You actually inspired me. Like I've definitely been creeping on your page, but it's funny you said, you know, there was no substance in filming fitness videos. That's actually how I started.
I was doing that in music videos,
but I love doing it. You know, yeah. I love doing it. I started filming fitness videos for my friends with my phone, and then moved on to a Nikon D7000, super cheap.
I had the 7200, I think. I think it was the D7200. I
Okay.
had a D3200 to start.
Okay.
And then a D7200. I think that was like the first. I think it shot 4K.
Okay.
Or the D850 shot 4K. It was the one right below the 4K model at the time.
Okay, yeah. That's what's up. Yeah, mine it shot 1080. I didn't even know what 1080 was at the time. I shot automatic.
Yep.
Then I learned how to not do it. But where was I going with this? Yeah, but it's interesting to see that progression, like how you went from you thought that was kind of empty calories, and now you're filming reality TV style weddings. But I actually, my last wedding I did, I kind of tried to do what you did, but definitely not as thorough. But I definitely was trying to tell a longer story, getting as many interviews as I could, and all that. And it's just because just watching your stuff, I'm like, damn, this is next level, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
That's awesome. But what's the biggest lesson that you've learned about love, making wedding films?
Oh man, that's a good one, dude. Honestly, like I feel like I've realized that this might come from filming weddings. Like I filmed so many different types of couples, right? Like you name it, right? And I think the lessons that I learned is that the couples that, or at least in my eyes, the couples that really are ready for marriage and really succeed with marriage are the couples who aren't trying the day of their wedding. And this sounds so weird, but like you'd be surprised how many times I saw forced emotion. Like I'm supposed to be emotional right now, so I will, right? Like I'm supposed to do like a father walking his daughter down the aisle. I'm supposed to say, I give her away when we get to the front. And so as I'm filming, I think it's more so with interviewing. As I'm interviewing and I'm filming at weddings, I learned that like, man, the love that really is the ones that inspire me and like push me to like even text my wife sometimes at weddings like, babe, I miss you so much. Like you can see it. Like I think I'm picking up on body language. Like you can just see it. Like two people, one person can show somebody that they love you without even talking to you. It's just the way they look at you, the way the thumb is moving over the hand when you're holding hands, like the grab, the placement of the hand on your shoulder, like little things like that. It's so weird to even put it this way, but like, yeah, little things like that, I see it. And then I'm like, man, like you can feel the love. You don't have to hear them say, I love you, or I want to be with you, or like, this is right. And I film a lot of weddings that feel so forced, so like staged. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it just didn't feel authentic. Even from the story perspective, everything felt forced. And I feel like those are the ones that it's so hard for me to stay connected and stay pushing, like I'm pulling the story out and everyone, like you guys are all disconnected. Like you seem to not want to be here. This person seems to not really care. You do the interviews with the couple and, I don't like this person. It's like, but that's your maid of honor? Like, you don't like...
Wait, it'd be like that?
It's like crazy, dude. I'm like, what? Like, that's your sister? Like, your sister's your maid of honor, but you don't like your sister? And it's like, why? Why put yourself in these positions? It's hard to word it because I feel like I come from a family, and I know our family's got their own issues, right? We got our own...
We all do.
My family's crazy, right? But I come from a family that, and I'm speaking about my immediate family, I come from a family that we're all tight-knit. Okay. Right? And so, like, we're all like this. No matter what, we could literally, me and my brothers could get into a fist fight. And by the end of the night, we're shaking hands and, like, we're chopping it up. Like, it's just that we never got in a fist fight, but it was just that mindset of, like, we're always, like, we got each other's back. Yeah. And that's just how our family was. My mom, my dad, everybody. And when I go to these weddings and I see that it's not the same, then it's like, it's difficult. It's like, I feel like all families should have that type of bond, at least that day. Yeah. You know what I mean? And if it's not that day, then to have them immediately connected to your inner circle, I feel like it throws everything off.
Yeah. Do you feel, so this was actually a question I had prepared for you. Do you feel like the people that you are filming, do you feel like it's hard for them to show up as their authentic self because they know they're on camera?
Yes, I definitely do. I think like if you took the concept of weddings and you just simplified it, like an elopement, like, you know, people elope as bride, groom, officiant, maybe 5 family members total, the whole celebration.
Yeah.
They're so much more relaxed because there's less moving parts. It's not even the camera that I feel like rattles people up at weddings. It's the whole environment, right? We're at this foreign place. You got all these vendors setting up for this, setting up for that. You got DJ playing music. You got caterer. You got, you know, floors. You just got all of
a schedule.
This. It's schedule, right?
Yeah.
You have a schedule for how you're gonna profess your love today.
Yeah.
You have a schedule to that. At 4 o'clock today, sacred, you're gonna tell her how much you love her on the dot.
Yeah.
Right. And so it creates a lot of anxiety and buildup. And I feel like if you took that element out of it, if you were to just wake up and it's Saturday morning, you're like, we're just gonna go get married, you know, you're gonna be a lot more at ease. It's in your house. You take the aesthetics and all that stuff away. I feel like that makes people more comfortable.
Yeah.
Like filming with people outside the wedding day, like dress shopping and stuff like that, our cameras don't bother them. Not nearly as much as seeing the day of the wedding, how that anxiety gets to them.
Yeah, so that can definitely play a role into what you described before, just them. But then again, you said you feel the love.
Yep.
You said you feel the love and the difference between it, and you've done enough of them. So whenever you're filming, and I know you film Wedding Day, but what else? How many days of filming do you do when you're filming couples for this style?
Usually it's, I would say on average like 3-ish days, because we try to stack events into one day so that we can cover multiple things that would look like it happened in a different day, but in one 12-hour window.
Okay.
So like we might do like dress shopping in the morning, and then a welcome party in the midday, and then do interviews at night. So it kind of looks like we got multiple things happening.
Yeah.
But we stack it up into a 12-hour window. Most couples, I would say, if it's like say this is a couple, like we have one for next year, I feel like we're gonna be with them like 5 or 6 times because she's like sold on reality. She loves the thought and the concept of reality TV, but even more obsessed with having like every little thing leading up to the wedding filmed. So she's like, you know, we're already game planning like what things we could put together, how we could strategize to make it where we can film more of these events.
Yeah.
But on average, it's like 3 days, I would say minimum, that we usually spend with a couple plus the wedding day.
Okay. How far out in advance do you actually start filming?
Usually, I would say a good number is like a year, at least a year before the wedding.
So you'll start then. Okay.
Yeah, if it's less than a year, we usually just can show up for like rehearsal dinner and the wedding day.
Okay.
And that's mostly because like our schedule's so booked usually.
Yeah,
so
okay, gotcha.
we need like an 18-month notice so we can start blocking dates and weekends for the prep stuff.
Yeah, well, you said that there was people, you know, you might have a bridesmaid or that doesn't like this person. Do you ever put that in the films?
Man, I want to. Like,
it's reality TV.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
They're so, like, man, like, I could tell you stories. I could give you stories of the stuff that we have seen and heard because we mic up wedding parties.
Yeah.
And so, and I always joke with my wife, I'm like, you know, whenever I retire, maybe I'll just put out a soundtrack of all the crazy things we heard. Like no face, but just a soundtrack, because just that by itself will make a person, like, it's just so many crazy things. We hear it all. I've heard literally like maid of honors that were just completely dissing the bride, like just the most disrespectful way. I've had, you know, bridesmaids that were in relationships with the groom, like just like crazy scenarios.
Yeah.
And this stuff is uncovered either in the video because we put reality cams up, like little things like that, and we have to just dead it all because like at the end of the day,
it's a love story.
It's a love story.
Yeah.
It's not my job I don't have black men. Like, that's not my job.
Yeah.
Like I'm here to create a story about you, your love, your relationship. It's not to invade your privacy you know what I mean, make it feel less.
Of course.
So, but I be thinking there'd be times where I'm like, man, this would be a great twist for reality TV. It'd be amazing. But then I have to remember, like, this isn't for reality. This is still for a family.
Right.
So,
have you ever felt? Has there ever been anything so crazy that you're like, man, I feel like a moral calling for me to say something about this? You don't have to say what it is. Has there ever just been a situation?
There's definitely been. There's one specific moment I would probably say in all my time of. So I've only been miking people doing this style. Now I'm going on 3 years.
Okay.
So in the 3 years that I've been doing the reality style, there's probably been only one scenario where I felt like I should say something, but then I felt like I would also have to explain how I knew. And that was like the conflict, right? Yeah. It was like, how'd you find this? And then because of that, it's like, I can't because, again, miking people and doing this isn't to invade your privacy.
Right. So
by me knowing would let you know, like, oh, we heard that or we saw that or something like that. So and my moral compass is like, when I'm at work, it's even more, I would say, like strong.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you have like your line where you don't cross it.
Yeah.
At work, I feel like that line is even higher, only because, you know, weddings, people show up different. Like, you know, bridesmaids always flirting and doing little things. And so my line is like I'm not over friendly. Like in a normal situation, walking through a store, I'll crack jokes, cut up with you.
Yeah.
But at weddings, like there's a fine line between friendly and flirting.
Yeah. And
so I have to like have this line, the standard that's even higher.
Yeah.
And so for me, my moral compass, it doesn't allow, there's no wiggle room, you know? And so when I see something or I hear something, most of the time I can just turn the cheek. Like, it got nothing to do with me. I'm here to do my job. But then other things that take place, then it's like, she should know, you know, like this person should know, especially when they are like, I'm interviewing you and I'm like talking to you as like one of the groomsmen.
Yeah.
And you're telling me this, and this. And then I have to now put that in the story, but I know something different. Like I know for a fact something different. That's what's difficult. But again, at that point, that's not my job. Like I'm not here to blow up relationships and friendships. Like that's not my job.
Yeah. But is there a part of you that ever feels like, has anyone ever told you something where you just feel like a therapist, where you're actually giving people advice on certain situations or anything? Because it sounds like you can be put in that seat, man.
We actually, man, so I had a groom. I was actually talking to one of my grooms, and so I do a thing called story introduction call. Yeah. And again, man, like I feel like I'm a big people person. So the way that I connect, the way that I know you're a good client for me is your story. You know, like and some people have great stories, but they don't know how to tell it. And it's sad because I want to be able to show that story. But if I can't connect to that story, if I can't resonate with it, then it's hard for me to get invested. And I had a call with one groom, man, and he was just like, it was so open. Like I would say probably about an hour into it, he's like, dude, this legit feels like therapy. Because just give you a little context, we don't just talk about, like if you're getting married, right? Say you're getting married right now or next weekend, and we did our introduction call, I wouldn't just be talking about your relationship with, call it Karen, right? I'd be talking about like your previous relationships too. Like how did it end? You know what I mean? Why wasn't that person the one? And what I'm trying to find out is where psychologically in your mind made you go, like what incident, what moment made you go, wow, she's different. And sometimes like you telling me about an ex will actually tell me why you appreciate your wife to be even more. Because like for example, if I was talking about my ex, like wasn't supportive, you know what I mean? She always like basically fought me on every creative thing I tried to do. Wasn't inspiring, you know? And then what I say at the beginning about my wife, #1 fan, pushes me, you know what I mean? So like without me even saying that, I can tell you how things were in the past, and you start to learn more about that bond and that relationship.
That's so interesting. So you're a therapist, huh?
JPM therapy coming soon.
Yeah. Well, I actually want to circle back because I want to dive deeper into this. So I asked you the question, what has filming weddings taught you about love and relationships? So has it just taught you that there's a lot of it that's fake? Or do you have more of a positive outlook? Or do you have a cynical outlook on love out there or what?
I definitely do. Okay, so I have seen a lot of, well, and again, me saying that I think it's fake is subjective.
Yeah.
Like that's my observation.
Right.
But the one thing I do think that it taught me is that it's real and it exists.
Yeah.
And I'll even say, like, you know, because we threw the whole race thing in the beginning, but as a Black man, more often than not, we are not surrounded by that, like, at all.
By what? By love?
By love.
Yeah.
By two-person household, two-parent households, stuff like that. So when I was growing up, you know, or like even my couples, most of my couples, you know, I film with couples whose parents have been married 35, 40 years, right? And so naturally, if you're surrounded by a modeled relationship, then you kind of fall in line. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas on the flip side, if you're not, if you grow up and you're just with your mom or you're just with your dad, mom's got boyfriends in and out, just, you know, stuff like that, naturally you fall in line. So what happens? You start just dating around and you know, you don't really learn how to appreciate.
Right.
And so not being around love, not being surrounded around that, it's not like my brothers. I was the first to get married. When I felt that feeling, like when I felt like I wanted to marry you, it came out of left field because nobody talked, like none of us was talking about it. So it wasn't even like I probably at the time knew what I was really saying I wanted, you know, but to see that and to have those feelings, filming while I film weddings, I see that it is real. And I feel like as cliche as it say, you know, when you know,
yeah,
like it's so real. Like once you have that feeling, I think as a man, it takes a lot because then you have to go, okay, I'm gonna buy a ring. I gotta ask for the blessing. I'm gonna get down on one knee. Am I gonna do it privately? You know, it's for a guy to come to those decisions. I think it takes a lot from that person's partner, you know, to get them there mentally. And then, like I said, not being around it, not growing up and seeing what a true, you know, marriage looks like, what a big relationship looks like not seeing that, I feel like it's more inspiring for me to figure out why when I film weddings. Because it's like, I know what it's like to not have something to look forward to. I don't have the, you know, grandparents with the 75-year marriage and stuff like that. Like I don't have that stuff, you know? So my parents weren't married. They were divorced before I really could remember. And so I didn't grow up with that. So now that I have something, I love to know, because when I felt it, I love to know when other people felt what I felt. Like, when did you have that feeling of like, she's gonna be my wife? It wasn't like I was like motivated by society, like, you know, my friends getting married, like none of that played a factor into it. I feel like it came down to what I was never exposed to in a previous relationship that made me go, she's different.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like just everything about her completely different.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to love and marriage and film, I definitely have not filmed as many weddings as you. I actually started my career trying to avoid them because I know a lot of people get stuck in becoming a wedding videographer, wedding photographer, and that's all that they do. But the way that you do it has reinvigorated like my thought process on that, because if I were to do it more, if I were to just do only weddings, it would be the way you do it. But yeah, with that said, I think the reason you've probably seen, just my observation too, the reason that you've probably seen so much quote unquote love that might not seem completely authentic is just there's so much pressure in society to get married. There's no one who teaches you what it's supposed to feel like, what it's supposed to be. A lot of people don't necessarily go to therapy and understand things, and they're just like, your time clock might even be running out. There's a whole lot of reasons why people get married and they just do it prematurely, and it all comes out. you know? So I think for me personally, I've always taken, like you, wait, did you say you grew up without having both parents married?
Yeah.
Okay, so same.
They were married, yeah.
Well, my mom and dad were, they were married for 16 years, but when my mom and dad got divorced when I was 7. So, and I don't have the same thing. It's like, you know, we don't have people that have been married for like 70 years, you know? So it's always pointed me towards I've had a deep-seated curiosity with trying to figure out love, and trying to figure out, you know, what love is supposed to feel like, what it's supposed to be. Is it an action? Is it something? Is it actually a feeling? What is it? You know. So I've had that deep-seated curiosity, and I feel like more people should be curious. You know.
So. I think our society, man, is like is wired in a way. This is me. This is like I be having these random thoughts. Most of the time, I call them plane talk.
Okay,
you know what
talk.
I mean? When you sitting on a plane, like you talk you think. That's all you do, right? You zone out. You got music on, or you sleep, right?
Yeah.
And so usually when I'm just chilling on a plane, this is where a lot of these like thoughts come from. But yeah, man, society like it has you, and I think it's even more so now because social media is like everything, right? You can post on the social media. Is that I think society pushes you, like you said, but I also think it makes you. It's almost like a competition. It's like say we were boys, right? I don't think it's like that with men.
Yeah.
I think it's like that with women, and then that gets forced and kind of like pushed into the relationship. And that's how men get involved. And we don't even know it. We don't even know that we're being like, call it played, right? We don't even know that this is happening. But like say there's a group of girls, right? Yeah. They've been friends since freshman year of college, right? They're all in their late 20s. That friend group is now like, oh, girl, when's he gonna marry you? When's that? Like that talk, right? So it's not even a feeling of the man having that feeling. It's the girls having this conversation, having this competition, or like she got married. Oh, I'm next. You know he gonna propose. Like it's that talk,
right?
And then it gets back into the relationship where it's like, you know, maybe the girl's doing certain things to push you, like, or to insinuate marriage. Like we've been together 8 years, babe. Like at this point, do I even need a ring? And so men start feeling, you start feeling that stress a little bit. And I think it then, because that guy might not have been ready, but because he felt that pressure, he does it anyway. And then like you said, years later, it blows up. And it was like, I wasn't ready. I wasn't at that mental spot that most men I feel like they should be at when they're ready to commit to such a long-term commitment. You know, I think it's society that tells us now, go get married now.
100%. And that actually makes me think of something that another guest told me. His name's Wayne Barkus. He said, if any man is doing something out of a space of shame, the intention behind it isn't pure. Dang. So, ladies, don't pressure your man to get married. Let him come up with that idea, because it's so much better when it's like, you know what, I'm ready. I made that decision.
Nope.
Let's make this happen. But if you're there's a reason why you need to get married now, you know, say you want kids in a certain amount of years, and you know, that time clock is ticking, and maybe he doesn't necessarily like want kids right now. It's time to reevaluate the relationship, right? Yeah. You know, but if you coax someone into doing it, it's not the way to go. Yeah,
how can you even celebrate it at that point when you know you pressured it, you know? And I'm gonna advocate for the women too, because I also feel like men, we are very self-sabotaging. You know, like we will look for every reason to say this isn't gonna work.
Yeah.
When God is telling us, nah, this is your person.
100%.
I don't like that her hair keeps coming out in the bed. I don't like that. I don't like that hair keeps getting in my beard. This ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like we think of like, we that's what we do. We self-sabotage, and we try to find whatever it is that will prevent us from doing it. And I think this is more so than women. Like the clicks with girls is strong, but men, are so easily influenced by the group of guys they hang around.
Yeah.
Like if we're boys and I've been with my girl for 7, 8 years and you over here like, nah, man, you better not get married, man. That's, you know, that like, if that's the energy that's around me, I start to care more about my guy's feelings after I propose than how that'll make me feel.
Yeah.
And so we run from a lot of the feelings that we have because of that, because of our influence. Yeah. If they're not on board with it, we don't want to do it because my boys ain't, you know what I mean? And then on top of that, we self-sabotage. We just look for things that are not going to be, you know, we try to find ways like, oh, well, you don't do this for me. You don't do that for me. And it's like dumb stuff.
Yeah.
And then we try to force it so it's not something where like marriage is going to work for us or marriage isn't in the equation.
Absolutely,
so,
man.
On the woman's side, I would say that men, we need to just get out our own way.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, I don't want to turn this into like a podcast of bashing women.
They're going to be in your comments.
So I'm glad
they're gonna be in your comments.
You advocate for the other side because at the end of the day, it does take work on both sides. We all, whenever we're getting into arguments with our partners, we are arguing with the little boy or the little girl that that has trauma back in the day. And at some point, we both need to help each other, you know, and get curious about what is blocking me? What is blocking my partner? How can I help? You know, I think curiosity goes a long way.
It does. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think with us, we try to, I feel like I've learned a lot from just doing my story calls with guys because I hear how people, like it'll be little things, man. Like I had a guy who knew that like he went through like horrible, actually was married at one point, but it was kind of like a young marriage. Like he was like 18, 19. Yeah. But I hear how guys come to that point again. Like that honestly is more inspiring for me to film a relationship with a guy, mostly a guy, who has been married and divorced and then tries to do it again. I know it's like, you know, like, because in my mind, I have a great relationship with my wife. That's my best friend. If we divorce tomorrow, there's no way I'm going through that again. Like the amount of love that I have for her and what we've built as a family is like, to have it end would be too heartbreaking to risk trying that again. So when I have couples who are at that point where they want to try it again, that's where I'm like, I have to know why. Like what's special about her that makes you go, forget it all. I know I did it. It didn't end well, but she's different. And so I don't know. I think guys, when we get to a point in our lives where, and I think it's when we get older, but when we get to that point where we find somebody who is that partner, that literal partner, not just, you know, I'm infatuated with her, she's beautiful. Like when you get past that, that's when I think for guys, that's when I think we realize that this is something that, you know, isn't just, you know, call it booty call or something.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think that happens a lot later for men than women. That's probably why there's such a disconnect, especially when you're at the same age, you know, and why women tend to actually end up marrying older because they're probably at the same point at a different time in their lives, you know. But I want to actually dive deeper into what made you curious about people who decide to do it again. Like, what is it that you think?
Man, if I had to put myself in their shoes, it would be like I said, like I had one scenario. He was they were together like 10 years. Okay. And then he proposed, but this is going into like marriage too, right? Okay. And so all I could think of was like fear. Like I just said, if something happened with me and my wife and it ended tomorrow, and like, it would take a lot for me to I'm just trying to be like a ninja. Keep going, bro. It would take a lot for me to get to a point where I felt like I could, one, trust at that level again, and then two, you know, go through announcing to my family that I'm getting married and all of that. You know what I mean? Like putting my family through this whole celebration again. You know, and so I think like, for guys to do it a second time, like what really pulls me in is like I want to know why. Like where does this feeling come from? Because the first time is easy, right? I never felt like that before. But the second time, And you can't say you never felt like that before. You know what I mean? Yeah. So what is it? You know, what changed? Why marriage? Why not just date forever? Why not just stay boyfriend? Why marriage?
Yeah. And what's the answer to that question? You know, what is the answer? Why? Like, what was it though?
I don't. Well, I guess it varies for most people, but for any guy that's doing it in, but like in that scenario, it was just like the life that they, like he said to me specifically, like, she's my superstar. Like they had been together so long. It was like it was a little after their 10 years that they got married, but they had been together so long that everything was solidified in terms of marriage without the legal part of it.
Okay.
Like they had been moving as one for years.
Okay.
And so, like, in that scenario, it was like, I get it. The first scenario, we talked. I can't give too much because if they happen to see this podcast, they're going to be like, he just aired up. So, but the stuff that I learned in the original call about why it didn't work the first time was why I would say most relationships at a young age don't pan out. Okay. When you're trying to find yourself, you know, in your early 20s and, you know, late teens, like, marriage shouldn't even be a conversation. That's my personal belief.
Why do you think if you're 18 or 20, marriage shouldn't be in the conversation?
I feel like dude, this is crazy. All right. I feel like no matter how mature you are at 18, 19, 20, 21, I feel like personally you shouldn't get married until late 20s. I feel like if there was like some unwritten rule, it would be 27 and up should be marriage. Or let's say 25 and up. 25 I think is a good number. 25 and up, you can get married. My reason behind that is because a lot of us, like, we don't even have a clear path for our life at that time. Majority of us. Some people are like, oh, I'm going to be a nurse. I know I want to do that. But do you love nursing? You know, like a lot. If you have any nursing friends, ask them if they love nursing or did they just do it because they knew it would be financial freedom, right? Mm-hmm. I love filmmaking. Like this is my passion. Like I could do a wedding for 10,000, I could do a wedding for 1,000, and I'm gonna enjoy it the same. Like the money and the payout never determines whether or not I take the job or not, within reason, because I do got to feed the family. So just put that out there. But I say that like at 20, I didn't know what I wanted. Like at 20, I was like a musician. I still played like the piano. I wanted to be a band teacher. I had a construction company remodeling bathrooms, like. And all of that, all the things that I did at a young age, I ended up a filmmaker. Like that film this didn't even happen until maybe a year and a half before I met my wife. That's when I got into start dabbling with Vine and stuff like that. So point that I'm making is that I feel like with a lot of people, we're very unsure of what that thing is that we are passionate about. And I see that in my comments all the time. Dude, I wish I had a passion like that. I wish I had a hobby that I love this much. And it's like, you don't have that or solidified where you want to be, what your vision and goals are like in life. But you're like, I know I want to spend my life with you. Like, how can you, I don't know what I want to do to take care of my family, but I know that I want to do it with you. And I'm not saying that it's impossible to feel that way, but I feel like that should come first. I feel like you should know where you want to be in life, and not, you can still be dating that person. Yeah. You can still be going through it with them, going through the trenches from senior year of high school all the way until you're 25, 26, 27, whatever. But at that age, that period of your life, I feel like it's all just figuring it out. Yeah. And until you figure it out, then I think marriage should happen.
Yeah, and I think actually changing the frame of marriage from being something like that's the next step, instead of it being that, if you actually take the time to really, really understand what it means for you on an emotional level, on a financial level, on a commitment level, if you really take the time to understand how big of a step it is, yeah, you can, you can
walk into it.
You walk in, exactly. So, but just, there's so much pressure again that kind of leads us into, I got to do it.
You got to do it now. Like we've been together for 7, 8 years. You get people asking you, mutual friends are down your throat about it. It no longer is about you and the relationship. Yeah. It's about what my family, what my friends think I should be doing right now. Like, oh, you've been with that girl since y'all was 18. You ain't gonna marry her yet? She gonna leave you. Like, you got that energy. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, you're right. Let me do it. But were you ready to do it? Are you at that? Even for women, because some women say yes out of the embarrassment of saying no, right? I've been with you since I was 18, but like they know that they don't see that person as their husband.
Yeah.
But it's like you would much rather stay dating and connected and say yes, thinking that well, I can change this person, or that person will change for me, or this or that, instead of loving them for exactly who they are.
Right.
And so I feel like even women sometimes will say yes out of the thought and the idea of, well, maybe things will change.
Yeah.
Instead of, like I said, just like he's walking into it and being at that point together.
Yeah, absolutely. Switching gears to you filming, it's filming weddings is so much pressure. How do you handle the pressure of knowing you're filming one of the most important days of a couple's life?
Man, I think, I get asked this a lot, is like, some people, the two sides of that coin is like, I'll never do it because it's so stressful. And then the other side is I'll do it because it's once in a lifetime event for people. And for me, man, it really comes down to just, like I said, that story element. There's something about figuring out why a person would choose another person. Like when I found my wife, I had, my wife, I say this to her all the time. There's no, like, I look back at it, I'm like, I don't understand what you saw. Because on paper, like, this should not have added up. Like 2 + 2 did not equal 4. And so, psychologically, I love to know what made people want to spend life together. Like me meeting my wife and going through like the beginning phases, and at weddings, seeing that same, like sometimes I can see and relate in so many ways to so many different couples. Because I've been through life, dude, I've been through so much. It's crazy, right? And to show up to a wedding and see that, oh, this guy was dating somebody for so long and ended up like that person slept around on him. And then he found love with her, right? Like now in my head, it's you were with someone before that you thought was your wife, that's going to be your wife. That person broke your heart, and now you found love in this person. Why? How? And so for me, it's stressful. But honestly, I feel like weddings couldn't be any easier for the average person, because you really are just filming what they do all day. So as long as you're around the bride and groom, you pretty much got the rest in the bag. But to go the extra step and uncover the story, to me, that's where like the stress, it's almost like a game. It's almost like a challenge of like, can you get the story in just today? And so all day I'm just like going in search of that story, in search of that answer, that why you chose him, why you chose her.
So I'm saying that the way you're able to actually handle the pressure of filming someone's most important day is like you are naturally curious.
I'm 100%.
Like everything you've just told me, you're just like, I'm actually curious about this. I'm curious about that.
Yep. If I'm not connected, it makes it so much harder. And in the beginning, it wasn't that. In the beginning, I didn't even know how y'all met. I just showed up to the wedding, staged a bunch of shots, went home, made a 5-minute video, sent it to you, was done. And I burned out quick. I did that for 2 years, and it was like I was done with weddings. Yeah. And then we started doing it this way. And yeah, dude, the curiosity is so strong, because sometimes it has nothing to do with the couple. Like sometimes I want to know, like I've had groomsmen who, like a guy might have had like a friend from college as his best man, and then his brother was just a groomsman. So like my mind now is like, well, dang, I know you're close with your brother. That's your family, but like, what's this relationship with you and your friend? How can I showcase that bond? That's a brotherly bond to have somebody as your best man. So sometimes it has nothing to do with just the couple's relationship. It's more so just like, how are the families meshing? Like anytime I film like an interracial relationship, right? First thing I think of was like, how did you feel? Because like what we were saying in the beginning, right? Like, and that happens in families too. I feel like most cultures want a same culture type of marriage, right? So ethnic groups stay the same, but when you mix it, I feel like there is
There's some tension.
There's some tension somewhere, And so like, it's always that curious, like, were you always on board? And I like, not necessarily to find out or even to put that in the film, but it's something refreshing about seeing like say your dad was hesitant at first, but then he learned to love the guy that you're marrying. Yeah. There's something like fulfilling about seeing that and seeing that part of it play out. Yeah. We don't need to know, I didn't like him because he was black or because, we don't need to know that part. But to see how the ship turned around, to hear, because think of how inspiring that would be to see, let's say a Caucasian dad talking about how his African-American son-in-law appreciates his daughter. Yeah. Like for the next person, for the next group of people, right? To be able to watch that. And so a lot of it for me is just that curiosity, and it's kind of a thrill. It's like journalism, but at a wedding.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like no one's off limits. It's just pure like, oh, you said Aunt Karen said what? Oh, where's she at? Like, let me go get her side. Hey, your brother just told me this. Like, you know what I mean? So it's always just like searching and digging.
Yeah. I didn't even think about it like that. That's awesome. So how do you balance your own creative vision with the expectations of the couple?
I feel like nowadays I don't have to as much. I can thank social media for that. In the starting phase of this style, because it was so new and I didn't have anything to show for it, a lot of couples, they fought me on the final deliverable. And then I got to a point where it was like, you know what, cool, I'm gonna do what you paid me for. But what I put on my website don't have to be that. I still got the footage. Who says I gotta release the version I sent you?
Ooh, I've handled that too. I've done that too, man.
Right? It's like you paid me to make you a 5-minute video, cool. But I thought it should have been 25 minutes long. I did that, put it on my website. Like, it's not like I put out a version that put the part in there where your dad said he didn't like him, right? Like, I didn't do that. I didn't make it where it was like drama and just like, it destroyed your character. Nothing like that. But the version I put on my website might have been more entertaining. Like, I might have sent you a version that had your whole ceremony in it, but the version on my website had a shorter piece.
Right.
Or it had, a different segment of the ceremony that I thought was more, enjoyable to watch. But that didn't take away from your character in any way.
Right.
So I think now I don't have to really. Now when couples book me, they're all in. It's just they see I have the work now to show them what it could look like. And I also usually don't compromise on the process. So if a couple on the call, they're like, I don't want to be mic'd up. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be interviewed. That's a clear sign to me that we're not the right company. Like, it's like you're saying like you hate seafood, but you're trying to order like fried chicken at a seafood restaurant. It's like you're at the wrong establishment. Like this, we don't even offer it.
Yeah.
And so that's how I look at it. It's like I serve and I offer one product. Yeah. If you don't want that product, this video is not video. You got the wrong director. You got to go to another person.
Yeah, that's the important part about earning your stripes and figuring things out at the beginning, trial error, figuring out what you like to do personally.
Yep.
And once you got your system down, once you got the social proof, this is who I am, this is what I do, it's easier to be like, okay, you're a good fit, you're not a good fit. I
can do my thing now. And that's the hard part too. When you start out in any business, you're in the rat race until you know what you want to do.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot in the creative field, we all just jump in. Like, I hate it. This is why I kind of joked about the music video stuff and the fitness videos. I didn't enjoy it because I wanted to tell a story, and that stuff was just repetitive work.
Right.
Even when I got into weddings, it was still like I was just in this rat race of like, it's paying the bills, so I have to do it. Mm-hmm. And now I'm in a position where it's like I'm also fulfilled creatively, and it pays the bill. So I don't have to compromise from like if I say no to you, I know for a fact another client will come in that will fit the style and the concept more if you didn't feel it.
Right.
So I don't have to take that project out of fear of, I'm not going to have work. You know what I mean? And so a lot of us, when we're starting out, we don't have that. So we take, and then you get burned out. You get creatively burned and drained. And so, yeah, I think it's a blessing to be at a point where our social media, we can post anything, and it 9 times out of 10 will bring in 5 to 10 leads into our, into our funnel.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it actually reminds me of, talking about actually being passionate about what you put out there. I've spoken about this on a couple podcasts, but I started out on social media really trying to figure things out. So I was posting all types of stuff, travel content. I was doing thirst traps,
You still be on the thirst traps, bro.
What you mean?
Man, you had that picture by the pool. I was like, man, look at this dude, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Arm up. I was like, come on, bro. Like,
No. Okay, so speaking of the thirst traps, like that, like on TikTok, I grew a lot with that. Grew to my first 100K doing that. Dang. And you're searching for inspiration for posts, and then my feed's filled with a bunch of other guys doing thirst traps. I'm like, this is kind of cringy.
Yeah.
I'm like, do I look like that? You know what I mean? And then I'm just like, I'm like, I don't want to keep growing like this.
Yeah.
And I know that I have a lot up here that I want to get out there to the audience, but I'm naturally a very shy, reserved dude. Like you seem like an extrovert. I don't know if I.
Yeah, I am.
Right. Yeah,
I was about to say, like, I wouldn't have guessed you were an introvert at all,
bro. It's a lot of practice in front of people like you, and I'm still trying to get better at it, But and then practice just me and the camera, talking to the camera. A lot of practice doing that, But I wanted to have more fulfillment in growing my platforms, so I'm like, you know what, I got to learn how to speak to that. Yeah. I need to learn how to speak to the camera. So when I actually made that shift, I started to feel a lot better about my content and more passionate about what I'm putting out there, and then interviewing people like you who they can learn from you. And things blew up the minute I learned how to speak to the camera.
That's dope.
So the thing that I was scared of doing the most has brought in the most growth on the platform. So,
and you could be authentic to yourself. Like like I'm sure thirst traps wasn't like what you hope to be in life, right?
Right. Right. And like you get old.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, now you're doing something that this is you. Yeah. So you can continue doing. And that's how I feel about the weddings, man. It's like, I feel like we were talking about this a little bit in the car when we were coming over.
Yeah.
Is at this point in my career, because I've done it so much, and my mind, I feel like, gets to a point where it's like it's ready for something more. It's like I'm ready for new challenges, and it's not like I want to leave weddings entirely, but I definitely want to have like my leg in the door, a handful of clients that I am definitely filming every year, and then a brand that's carried by the vision, right? Like the JPM Weddings brand is known for reality TV wedding documentaries. And so people will reach out to that company and not necessarily see me or I'm a part of it, but the team that is now running it is carrying out the vision. And then the other side of me is like, I'm just ready to produce and push further. Like I feel like where I should be, or what my mind and my talents want me to do, is even though I do a crazy amount of work and stuff at weddings, it's still restricted. And now it's like I'm constantly hitting the wall, and I'm just ready to just like, all right, we got to get past this wall.
Okay. How do you feel restrictive at weddings these days?
Just from the like weddings, the concept of a wedding is a very fast and choreographed day.
Yeah,
like,
you kind of know what's going to happen.
You know what's going to happen. Everything is a schedule, right? Everything is picture perfect. And that's just how weddings are. And I get it, right? You spend a lot of money on this venue and your dress and decor and whatever, right? So I get that part of it. But the part for me that I feel like I'm just constantly hitting this wall is that I want the wedding to be more organic, more natural, more relaxed. You know, ceremonies at 4, but that part can stay strict, but everything else, like let it just play out. Like, why does the first look have to be under a tree and the groom standing there and she walks up and if the cameras weren't here and you guys did a first look, would that be how you set it up? Let's go out to this tree, babe, and turn around. I'm gonna walk out to you. Would that be how you did it? Or would he just walk into the bridal suite and see you? right? Like I kind of want that organic type of vibe. And then I also want to be able to fully control how things look. Like you spend all this money to put on a wedding, and then with film, we don't even have time to properly make sure things are lit, make sure things look good, you know, make sure, you know, it looks just as good on camera, which is the only memory you're going to have later, as it does in person. We don't have that luxury. And because of that, I feel like I'm just constantly, you know,
I've seen you go through definitely great lengths to try to light up sets and dance, like the, you know, the reception, all that.
Crazy amount. And then sometimes I sit and think, like, is this effort, you know, I think really like the effort, I will always say that effort is definitely worth it for the shot, but like the amount of pushback and, you know, even in my comments, the negative energy you see from the other videographers, it's like doing all of this and seeing all of that and having that much pushback, it kind of makes you go like, dang, is this even worth it?
What pushback do you get from the audience when you are trying to
So the day of the wedding, like ironically, I get more pushback, honestly, out of other wedding filmmakers than anybody.
Really? Okay.
Man, it's
dive into that.
It's yeah, we can get into it because I talk about my podcast. Yeah. Like I'm open. Like I'm an open book. I think that's another reason why our content does so well. It's like I'm gonna speak my mind. Like you can unfollow me, you know, it is what it is. But wedding filmmakers, man, they you know, they're stuck in one way. It's just the truth. They're stuck in the way that weddings have been crafted and set up for us to be. You film it this way. As long as you stay within these two lines, nobody's gonna say nothing. But the minute you go outside of one of them lines, they're only like a pack of hounds. And our style, for example, the reality TV style, taking easy rigs and using cinema cameras and producing content in a way where it's more organic and doing all this stuff, right? The families, my families that I film with, oh my, dude, they love it. Like to them, when they say, when they see us approach their wedding, they see all that we're doing, they see $15,000 worth of effort. Yeah. They're like, yeah, I see why he was expensive. Yeah. And then on the flip side, the videographers are just like, dude, that's overkill. Like, why would you do all that? No, you're taking away from the day. It's not about you. It's about the couple. Why are you trying? And it's like, what? Like, I'm interviewing her mom. How is that about me? You know, so I feel like it's mostly because the ones that I notice that really come and attack us are the ones who you go to their profile and they got the same cookie cutter montage as every other videographer. Yeah. I've never had one of the creators like J and Mac Films, right? I love them, right? Dope filmmakers. Yeah. They're outside the box. They're doing things and their films and the quality and the interviews and stuff, just all amazing. They shoot on anamorphics. Oh, wow. Right? But I don't see them in my comments like, dude, this is overkill. This is always the ones that are in the bubble, that are stuck in the traditional wedding ways. Those are the ones that come attack me. I never see the ones that are outside, that are actively trying to push, that are trying to do something more creative, that are being more creatively fulfilled. Yeah. They're not the ones that are coming after me.
Yeah, it's the ones that are stuck in that box. Like you gotta ask them, so the weddings you filmed, did you do 20 interviews? How deep did you dive into that family? And that you shot that music video wedding.
It's a music video. That's exactly what it is. Like, dude, you flip the phone around and hit play. You think you're standing in the elevator. Like, it's just like, it's the most boring music. And but it's like, why does that have to be the wedding? And two, why does my process have to even matter? Like, who cares? My couple, they paid me. You didn't pay me. Right. So the comments are people like, oh, there's no way I would want that at my wedding. It's like, dope. That's why you won't hire me. Cool. Right. Like, you know, like that's not, I don't mind. I don't care. Yeah. But I think our community, like, I actually posted this on Threads. I was like, you know, it's just like everybody's shooting in, no, what did I say? Everyone's shooting in, dang, how did I word it? Dude, it was so perfect because I was literally talking about the wedding filmmakers. And I was like, why does what we bring even have to be in the equation? I was like, just push record and shut up. That's what I said. I was like, just hit record and shut up. Because it was like, at this point, you guys are all worried about, you know, me taking a 4x4 and using lights and bringing cinema rig and shooting on red and saying that it's overkill. And it's like, you're not even trying it. You're not even probably capable of doing what we're doing to call it overkill.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like until you try it, until you go out and do it, you can't really like, you know, that energy, it just always gets me, bro. Like,
yeah,
I get so annoyed with it, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not even gonna entertain you because like I ain't got nothing to prove to you.
Yeah, there's just always going to be a subsection of the population that they're just going to be haters. That means you're doing something right, man.
You need the engagement.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's like, cool,
yeah.
keep
argue in the comments.
Yeah, sometimes I got time today, so I'll be in there with them, bro, just going back and forth.
Yeah,
and it don't bother me. Like I don't personally feel attacked or anything. I don't care what they say. They can say my films were trash, and I'm gonna be like, dang, that's crazy because I'm still being paid. Like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't, like to me, nothing that anybody could say would matter because I'm happy doing what I do.
Yeah.
You know, every part of my process, you think is overkill. I have fun when I film. It's all fun to me.
Yeah.
So when I was doing cookie cutter, slow-mo music videos, that wasn't fun.
Right.
This is fun though.
Yeah.
So yeah, nothing they could say would ever deter me or mess with my vision.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're the one who has to film it, not them.
Yeah.
But I'm like you, man. Sometimes, you know, as a creator, I interviewed Tia Mori actually, and she you know, she definitely, you know, got in my head about in a great way about, you know, just when someone posts a negative comment on your page, you know, respond back with kindness. And that is definitely a great way to respond because sometimes it comes from a place of hurt or whatever. But, you know, so I do that too. But sometimes,
fine line.
Sometimes these days, like, I pour a little gasoline on it.
Yep. Sometimes it's just
I pour a little gasoline on it because like it's like, okay, you want to be angry at this. I still try to come from a place of love.
Yep.
But I'll pour a little gasoline that's gonna make them think about what they just said, and then
like a witty response.
Yeah, exactly.
I do that too. I do that probably more than I will argue with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I definitely will do that. And I think that's like more, like it's honestly like a lot of the times when I do it, I don't get a response. Cause then it's like, damn, like I shouldn't have even commented. Like, you know, like cause that's what I commented on one person thing. They like had this whole paragraph, and I was like, I didn't read this, but imagine being a grown man going to another grown man's page just to tell him how bad he's doing at life. And it was like, dang, like, you know, cause I could never see, I don't care what it is, I could never see myself going out of my way. You're scrolling, which means you have to stop scrolling, you have to consume the content, then you have to press comment, wait for it to pop up, tap the little bubble so your keyboard pops up, and then share your response and press send.
Yeah.
Like that, you know what I mean? It's not like a conversation where like you're walking, somebody bumps you, you're like, dang, bro. Like it's not like that. Like you gotta stop and think and actually plan this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I could never see myself going out of my way to be like, dang, Sacred, I'd never wear a shirt like that, bro. That's trash. You lame for that. I could never see, you know what I mean? Like, like that's just how I am. Maybe, like I'm not a hater. Like I guess if that's what you want to call it. I've never been the one to like, even if I disagree with you, even if I think that, oh, that's dumb or you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't say that. Like I'll probably think it, but like I'm not gonna put that energy in the world.
Right.
Like I'm not gonna go comment that and leave it there publicly.
Right. And even if, say, there's something that even triggered me at a point, most of the time I'm like you, I'm not even gonna, even if I think differently, I'm like,
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, you know what? Let me just provide a different perspective rather than just, you suck. You know, there's a difference between the two, you know what I mean? But so on another thing, so we both know as entrepreneurs, as content creator, failure is a huge part of this journey. How has failure affected you in your journey?
Man, I was watching, so like my biggest motivational person, if you want to call it like a celebrity superstar, is Kevin Hart.
Ooh,
like
okay.
I feel like it was one thing that I liked him because he was funny, but then when you start watching his documentaries and you start knowing about his story, how he came up, and then you start watching how many things he's involved in, it makes me feel like, damn, like if he can be doing all of this around the clock, why am I tired at 3 o'clock and all I did was show up at my office?
That's real.
Right? And I'm bro, like he's got 1,000,001 things he's doing. And he had a very similar story, right? Like he grew up, He, you know, grew up in poverty, if you want to call it that. Like, I don't like using that word because my mom and my dad worked their butts off. Like, but we're definitely at a position, my wife and I, that I wasn't in. Like, I'm providing more for my kids than what was provided to me as a kid in terms of just opportunity and, you know, things like that. The love was there. And I think when I see Kevin Hart's journey, there was one documentary he had, and he said it, and I wrote it down. It was so powerful. He said, this has to work. That was it. Like, they asked him, like, what would you do if it didn't work out? And he was like, this has to work. Like, there was no plan B. There was no, like, you know what I mean? And when he said that, it was like I understood it, because filmmaking and where we're at with our business, like, this has to work. This is our life. Without it, there's no, like, we have nothing, you know? And so that term, like, when you say, like, how has failure kind of molded my mind, that's literally all I think about. Like, yes, I'm filming these weddings and I'm creative and I'm passionate and I love it. But at the same time, it's like, this has to work. Like, this is our family's lifeline. Yeah. And the scary part, which I said in the beginning, is not knowing what would happen when it's not. Like, I'm not saying that there'll ever be a day where it's not working, but what if I'm not in the driver's seat? Like, what if something happens, I can't move the way I used to, right? I can't be bent over. I can't be doing these long hours. Like, what if my body taps in before my mind does? What happens then? And so, because I don't have that part figured out, that's where I feel like I'm failing. It's like, my family has no backup. We have no, you know, residual income. We have no, you know, no avenue that's gonna provide for us if I had to step out the driver's seat.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So, are you brainstorming any ideas?
I got a lot.
Yeah, a lot, but you don't know what yet.
I have. So I just be trying stuff now at this point, but a lot of it is like, I'm trying to think of something that wouldn't involve filmmaking. Because I feel like, as I watch, like, for example, right, I just found out that Cons is going out of business. It's called Cons Home Plus. It's like a furniture store. Okay. Like, they sell like TVs and like mattresses. It's kind of like a Big Lots, but different, right? It's like a combination of like a Big Lots and Best Buy. Yeah. But I found out they're going out of business, right? So I go down this rabbit hole. I'm like, dang, that's crazy. And my wife was just like, why does it matter, babe? You didn't even shop there. And I was like, cuz at one point, this was a dude's dream. Like, somebody was like, I want to run these, I'm gonna have these stores, and they built it, and now it's over. So in my mind, I felt that as an entrepreneur, I'm like, dang, like, what happened? Like, I had to figure out, like, well, how did it start? And it was a plumber. The guy that started a furniture store was a plumber. And the way he started was he started selling refrigerators. Okay. And he was a plumber, so he'd go to people's house and he would sell fridges on the side. And then it grew into one other appliance, and then before you knew it, he had this whole store, right? Long story short, my ideas that I'm trying to do to kind of work into retirement is, it doesn't have to be filmmaking. I'm trying to think of, like, what could I do with my talents and skills that could grow something that's not necessarily, filmmaking is such a creative position. Like, you know, like, I could hire you to shoot for us, but then your vision and ideas is always going to be different from mine. And so I feel like that's a bottleneck. So we need something that could be self-sustaining, right? Like, I could open up a store and put people in there to sell merchandise, because the merchandise is what people are buying. They're not buying into the person.
Do you have a community?
We do.
You do? Like,
so we have
a school community?
We have the academy. But again, that's me. Like, I have to run that.
Do you?
Yeah.
If you find the right people?
So, well, right now, because it's new.
Yeah.
So the academy, so JPM Live Academy, that's my first go run at, like, course material. Yeah. And so I've always hated courses, man. I just think you buy them and then the material's outdated, and then you spent $1,000, but that's it. Then that person will make an updated course, and you got to go buy that one. Or the information is just like so surface level that you don't get all out of it. So we did a membership, and it works and it's growing. I'm still trying to get this to a position where once we get some graduates, some people who are you know, really accomplishing the style to be able to start handing off parts of that. But I really want something that we can build that's self-sustaining. Like we started our studio, and I think I've been hands off on that like from the jump. So my wife created the page, she created the Pure Space. I'm gonna be behind it for marketing, but I'm kind of treating that the same way Kevin Hart treats Fabletics, right? Like his face is all over Fabletics, but he ain't never in them stores. Like, you know what I mean? Like you'll never see a signed document from Kevin Hart come into your box when you order it. But you know that it's represented, like you knew about it because of Kevin Hart. And so that's kind of how I want to treat my studio rental business. Is it's built with our name, but I don't want to be at the forefront where like you're not renting it for me. You're renting the space. You know, it's owned by, like I would love to show up to a Kevin Hart or a Heartbeat production studio that I could rent. Like I'd do that just because it's like, yo, this is sick. This is probably a dope opportunity. And so that's kind of like my idea, is like growing something that could or at least starting out, could be almost self-sufficient.
Right. So as you build your personal brand, things like that, it's, you know, as the value of your personal brand goes up, the other things you touch become more valuable. Yep. Absolutely.
And I think like you even are at a good point for that. It's like people, when they start to support you at a level that, it's weird to me too, because I feel like dude, I was always lame in high school and stuff. Like I didn't have like a clique, right? So like, and that's why like I joke about it, because I'd be like telling my wife, I was like, yeah, I wish the high school kids could see me now. Like, where y'all at?
They
like,
probably see you.
They see. I know they see me. We got viral videos all the time. I know they seen the video.
Yeah.
But it's like they never comment. But it's like, I know y'all seen. I know you seen this, Trey. I'm gonna call you out. I know you seen this video.
Why would Trey?
Trey, man, he cool. He used to bully me back in 5th grade though. Like I remember all these stories, man.
Dang.
But nah, so like, yeah, I think just being able to grow it with the reputation, and I think it's so dope that even for us, we got 200,000 followers on Instagram. And I think of that, like it's as humbling as it is, but it's like, it blows my mind. It's like, yo, like I'm still just trying, I'm figuring it out. Like I'm not even successful. Like to other people, they see me as successful, right?
100%.
Maybe this is the goal that they have for themselves. But where I want to be, it's like I feel like I am in the rat race still. Like we are still in the big growing phase, trying to figure out like our exit strategy and what's next, and how to turn it into a truly built business and company.
Yeah, that actually leads to my next question. What's the biggest misconception that you think people have about success? And how would you redefine it based off your experiences?
Man, dude, I think the biggest misconception about success is monetary value. Yeah. I think people base your success off the amount of money you make. Which, don't get me wrong, like you have all the passion in the world, but if you're broke and homeless, you know, that plays a factor. But I think a lot of people like naturally base their success off of, you know, maybe likes, followers, and monetary value, like the amount of money that they're making. And my success, like honestly, like I'm 100% happy with my entire life as it is. Like my wife is my biggest fan, right? My kids love me. Like I'm their superhero.
Yeah.
Like I see the joy in my daughter's eye every time I come home. Daddy, like she lights up, right? 4 years old, lights up. First thing my son does, run downstairs, gives me a hug. Yeah. I could be gone for the whole day at the office or a whole weekend filming a wedding. Yeah. And to me, like that's the success part, you know? My son asking me, Dad, can you come to career day? Like at the school and, you know, show people that I'm a filmmaker, and like that stuff to me is what I find to be successful. Cause it's like, you know, I think of when I was growing up, my parents were both active in my life. Like they're my best friends, but I didn't necessarily have like, well, one, I didn't have like that. We didn't have those type of resources at our schools anyway, back in Peoria. So, you know, there's a lot of things missing from the society. But I wish that there was more involvement in those areas, you know, like I wish that it didn't come down to like needing money for this or needing money for that to be happy, right?
Yeah.
Which I never cared. I was mixed match. That's probably why I didn't have friends. I was mismatched. Like I own Jordans now, but I had Skechers back then.
Oh yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like I didn't care. Like my mom, even my brothers, they would all be rocking Jordans, and I'm walking outside in some purple shorts and yellow shirt. Like I was happy. I didn't care. You know. But yeah, man, I feel like success. Like a lot of people just they're chasing that dollar, or they're chasing like. I was listening to a book, man, a podcast or EP. And he was like, status. Like that's like society's big thing now. Is not necessarily what you've built, it's what you have. Like you got a successful, you could be living like under the Austin Bridge, right? But you got followers. So you're successful. That's what they see.
In society, yeah.
Right? So that's my thing. I feel like people think that you have success by what you have. Or status, like you own a Bentley or you got diamond necklaces, and to me it's like, dude, my success is like I look at my kids every night, they love me, they're happy, they got everything they need. They don't, you know what I mean? There's nothing there's no necessity that they don't have. Sure, I didn't buy you the latest Xbox game, but you got everything you need to survive, right? And that to me is joy. Like there's fulfillment there. And then my job, I love filmmaking. I can do this to support my family. So there's joy when I go to work. Yeah. I have an office, I have a studio. Like there's joy. I walk in every day, and unlock the door, and I literally stare sometimes, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like this is mine.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I think success is finding, like you found joy. You found joy in your kids, your family, in the work that you do, because you're going to spend a lot of time at work.
Yep.
So
if you hate it.
Yeah, if you hate it. And you see it all the time. People who reach the pinnacle of success in society's eyes, having all the money, all the cars, all the toys, if they do not find passion in life, in all other aspects of their life, they will feel empty.
Yeah. Like they're always trying to find something else. Yeah. Like work can't be everything. But I'm not saying you got to have a family to be successful either. Like, but I just think
a community.
I think you should be happy. Like, and I said this on stage one time I was presenting, and I was like, a lot of filmmakers can't say that they are genuinely happy with what they film. I do. Like, I enjoy it. Every time I film a wedding, I have a great time. I love it. I love filming weddings. I do want more, but that's the creative. That's the desire to. Yeah. You know, I'm never complacent. Like I don't ever get to a point where I'm like, all right, this is all I want out of life. Yeah. Like I could have a movie on Netflix and I'm gonna be like, dang, how do I get one on HBO or Stars? Like, you know, I'm always gonna be pushing. Yeah. There's always gonna be a new door, a new milestone that I'm gonna chase. Yeah. And I've always been that way. So, but I love what I'm doing inside and out. And I feel like if you can find that, that's success.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because a lot of people, we grow up in a system. Right? My dad was a doctor, so I'm gonna be a doctor. You know, like I tell my kids, I was like, I love filmmaking, but don't come to my office and do it if you feel forced to. Like, if you want to do it, come hang out. Yeah. But like, if you want to show up and just play Roblox, then play Roblox. Like, you know, you ain't gotta be. I don't want to push this on you. Like, filmmaking doesn't have to be your thing because that was my thing. And I feel like a lot of us, we grow up in that system where it is. It's like my mom was a nurse, so my sister went to nursing school. I'm going to nursing school. And it's like your plan and your life is made for you before you get a chance to explore and do the things you want. And then there's a lot of backlash with a lot of families too when you go the opposite way.
Yeah, man.
Like, oh, you're supposed to go to law school. Well, I want to go to Juilliard and dance. And then they're like, you're not going to be a dancer. Like, you know, it's like, I get it. You're trying to set your kids up for success. But it's like, I never would have thought I'd build, you know, a business, a 6-figure business with a video camera from making vines. I was making vines, like trying to be like, you know, a little Instagram famous or whatever. And never would have thought that would end up leading to like a successful business.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I can relate to that too. Like, you don't know how I got into filmmaking, right?
No, I don't actually. I did, yeah. Besides the thirst traps.
At that point, I was already in it. that was when I was growing my social media, and I was already doing the business.
That's the disclaimer.
Yeah. No, but dude, you know, just the polar opposites of one having I have a famous dad. He was on Miami Vice.
Oh, dang.
You know Miami Vice? Sometimes our age group. Oh, you know? Yeah.
That's crazy.
yeah. yeah, he's Tubbs.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah. So having that, but also mom and dad getting divorced when I was 7, and then also living a normal life. So my dad, he doesn't give me money like that. So like people, there's an assumption with some people that what I have is because I have a famous dad. I've built this myself.
Yeah.
You know, I built everything myself. But just growing up, you see what he's done. You're like, okay, so like, do I want to be an actor?
Yeah.
You know, is that something? But in my head, I'm just like that shit scares me. You know,
Yeah.
You know, acting scares me, and
that's what you saw as inspiration. Like that's what was happening.
Yeah, and I'm an introvert.
Yep.
So then you're going to school, and you're going to the public school, and they're saying, you know, you got to be a doctor, you got to be a lawyer, you got to be a fireman, you got to be a police officer, you got to be a nurse. Like those are the acceptable things.
Yeah. But
I have this creative background, and I know I'm creative, but I can't sing, I can't really dance. You know, like, what do I do? What do I do? So like, I've always been asking myself that question, and I turned to entrepreneurship. You can be creative in that. Started the party bus company, I told you.
Yeah.
And from there, my creative, you know, I was able to be creative with that and learn about business. But then I'm like, what do I want to do that's like passionate? Because I know party buses isn't my full, like I'm not doing that the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You know? What would I do if time or money were no object? It's an Alan Watts quote. Thought about that for about a year.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Went back to film. I don't necessarily want to be in front of the camera at that time, but I'm so curious about it behind it, because I always film home videos for my family. I film workout videos for my friends. You know what? Forget the money. Let me do this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna dive into it. And I bought a Sony A7 III. Learned how to use that camera on YouTube, and that has knocked over every single domino in my life to create this, to create the following, all of it, because I chose passion.
And it's scary too, because I feel like honestly, I feel like now is a great time to be a kid.
Yeah.
Like when were you born? I was born in 92.
91.
All right, so same era, right?
Yeah,
but growing up in the 90s, like, you know, I don't know what it was like for you. You know, I know you said your dad was famous, so it's probably a little bit better. But for most of us, even in that situation, it's still like our parents rooted in us what a career job looked like. And creativity was not one of them. Yeah. Like doing a creative thing or an athletic thing was not a career, no matter how good you were, right? You could have been D1 in college, like that. You need a degree, right? And for the longest, that's how I saw things. But I was always on this outside. I was always in this creative environment. Like I loved building, and that was like my first. It still is. I love, you know, framing and you know, renovating, stuff like that. Like I do it all the time. I love it. And that was my first job. I loved it. Started a whole business. I was doing it for off and on for about 3 years. And it just got to a point where I needed like consistency. Because when you're doing construction, like you're literally working to unemployment. So as soon as you finish this job, it's like, wow, now what? Yeah. You know? And so I needed something more consistent. I had my son. It was just like, all right, I need something stable. And so when you're growing up, you're trying to either model that or like you said, the schools are telling you like, this is how you get stability. Yeah. It's lawyer, doctor, this, that. But they don't really hone in on how to grow as an entrepreneur. And what's crazy is even if you wanted to be a doctor, you could be a doctor, but why not open up your own private practice? Why not be the doctor? And then you got a group of other doctors who work under you. You don't even got to show up. Yeah. And it's like, that isn't being taught. You know, it's like we're taught to go work for a living instead of owning. Right.
And also what's not being taught is really having the curiosity to discover your passion. Because at the end of the day, could I have the skills to be a lawyer if I applied myself 100%? Would I be fucking miserable? 100%.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. That's why I said it's great being a kid now, because they have, like, in a way, like, I'm not saying that we paved the way for the kids today, but like social media has given you the option to see so much more success ways. Like you can show, you know, back in the 90s, or like early 2000s even, if you were to be like, oh, I want to be a fashion vlogger, man, like, you know what I'm saying, you would be laughed at. Like, there's no way that anybody would believe that dream. But now you can show them, you can literally say like, I wanna own a podcast. Look at what Sacred's doing. Like, I can show you other people who are growing and doing things that is working. Yeah. But not only that, you might not even know that podcasting or fashion vlogging is your thing. Yeah. And then social media can open up that door for you and show you like, wow, I actually like this. And now you start to try to chase it. Yeah, even with, so whenever I first started filming, actually, I didn't really know what my niche would be. So I filmed everything. Yep. And what I learned from doing that and also posting my work, because I was always one of those people, you know, you got friends that like they'll create something, but they'll never post it because they're afraid of the judgment. They just keep it in. Yeah. That wasn't me. I'm like, I'm gonna put it out there. It don't have to be perfect. I'm gonna put it out there. And what I've learned is there's a lot of times people don't really know what you want until you tell them. Mm-hmm. So like, I didn't know that you could film reality style wedding films until I saw that it was done. I said that. I told people, I was like, the reason they don't know they want it is because it's not out there. Yeah. Like if they only sold red vehicles, period, you'd never know you wanted a blue one until a blue one showed up. Yep. Like if it's only available, like electric, we never wanted electric cars until Tesla was like, yo, we got it. Yeah. Like, now people are buying them. It's the same concept. It's like, you don't know, like if you're a visionary and you can come up with something, you can create something, do it. But like, if you're not willing to go try it, put it out there, like you said, then no one knows what they want until they see it. And then like they might think it like, man, I want something. I don't want that. I know I don't want a music video of my wedding, right? But they don't know that. They don't know anything else because the only thing they see is music videos. Right. And then you see this reality video and you're like, that's what I want. Exactly. Like, that's not corny. That's not cliche. I want that. Yeah, absolutely. So switching gears, you talk about you have a family. You wear many hats, so I know you're a content creator. You have a studio. You have a wedding business. Am I missing anything? Is there more? Nope, that's it. Nope. Knowing that, how do you prevent burnout? Because all those are full-time jobs, bro. It is. It is. I'm burned out. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm burned. Like right now, I'm burned out. Like it's, but like the burnout is different. I think it just. I'm gonna keep saying it, but I don't know what's next. And in my life growing up, I've always had a plan. Right. I'm getting to the point now where I'm realizing like this isn't the end. Like, this isn't what I do until, even retirement. What am I going to do for retirement, right? I haven't been planning for retirement. Like, you get a job, you got a 401k, you might do a Roth IRA, something like that. I wasn't planning for that. So then what happens when there's nothing? So my burnout and frustration and everything, it's like yeah, I feel burnout from physical exhaustion. But, like, the love for what I'm doing, like, that hasn't changed. You know, I love being able to just shoot a video and, you know, scream at the camera because I'm excited and people like it, you know? So, and then the family part, love my family. But the burnout is more just like, I don't know what's next. So I'm burned. I know that I'm going to hit a point where my body is going to say we're done. Yeah. And when that happens, like, what am I doing? Like, you know, I still want to provide for the family. I still want to make sure the kids got what they want. But like, what's next? What's behind that door when my body is like, we can't do this. We can't be filming 3 weddings in a weekend no more. Yeah. Like, we can't be, you know, doing 12-hour shifts and only drinking 1 bottle of water the whole day. Like, we can't, my body can't handle it. What do I do? It's scary. I just had a thought. Have you ever thought about, because you're such a dynamic personality, bro. Have you ever thought about like doing a reality show for yourself about you filming other weddings? We actually had an idea of that. And we played around with it. Like a behind the scenes series. I think it would be good, but I would love to produce that series in connection with creating a series. Like that's where I think my passion, and that might be why I feel the burnout, is that I'm forced to keep working and I can't take the time to go do passion stuff. Because it's like, it's business now. Like this, we've grown it to a point so big, which is kind of like we're shooting ourselves in the foot, but it's so big now, the demand is so strong that my couples now have an expectation.
Do they expect you to film every wedding?
They, for the most part, yeah. And I think that also comes back to me. I haven't figured out how to take myself out of it, but I also know, like, the way I film weddings is just, I haven't found anybody to even step into my seat. I'm not trying to be, I feel like I can hear Gary Vee right now. Like, shut up. You're in your own way. Like, I can hear him right now. But like, it's a creative job. And with weddings, so many things happen that are not designed for video, that you as a director have to make it for video. And a lot of people,
give me an example.
For example, all right, let's say a bride is, actually I just posted this on my story like 2 days ago. Let's say a bride's getting dressed, right?
Yeah.
Mother of the bride's helping. Yeah. If you take the cameras away, there was not a single camera in that room, and just the mom and the daughter, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna have a conversation. She's gonna be talking to her. It ain't gonna be sweet. Like, I'm not looking for sappy, but it's gonna be some sort of conversation.
Yeah.
That dialogue, because we got cameras in here, is now erased from the equation. So as a director, when I'm filming a wedding, when I'm filming dress shopping or something like that, or the mother of the bride's helping the daughter get in the dress, and I peep body language, you know, Mom, you're rubbing her wrist like that. What are you thinking? I love the way that you were staring at your daughter in there. What were you feeling? You know, like, I'm thinking of ways of how to connect this moment, and then also let's bring your emotion. Let's bring that into it. What are you not saying right now?
Do you ask that on the spot or
in the moment? Yeah, right in the there.
Okay.
Yeah, and I won't even stop them. Like, you don't even gotta stop like doing what you're doing. I'll just ask, Mom, what are you not saying? Oh my God, she's so beautiful. Like, then they start to talk.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? You know, whatever the bride's name is.
Yeah.
And then you just like make it about a video. I've learned from doing this and even bringing people in my academy that little piece, as simple as I feel it is, because I do it like subconsciously. And I think it's that curiosity element that just keeps me wanting to know more. But I realized that nobody, like, majority of people aren't that comfortable. Even the people that I've shot with that are in my academy, they usually hide behind the camera and they stay there. Filming a wedding, it's like, especially if you're trying to get the story, because of the cameras, people close off. So you almost have to be a director. You have to motivate it in a way where it's like, okay, it's not fake. Like, you're gonna say what you're gonna say, but I gotta let you know that it's okay to say it.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead and talk to her.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, they'll do a first look with their dad, and I got a 4-year-old daughter, and I look at her and like, this is my world. Like, this little girl, she got me like this. So I'm envisioning the day that I gotta stand there and turn around and see my daughter in the dress. Like, I can only imagine what I'm gonna feel. You know what I mean? And so when I see this moment happen for brides, all I can think of is at one point, you were his 4-year-old daughter. And now we're here. And so it's like, I don't want you to just turn around and look at her and go, wow, you look good, baby. And then that's it. We pose for the photo. That's how 99% of these go. Like, no, I want you to hold your daughter's hand. I want you to look at her in her eyes. I want you to talk to her. I want you to tell her how you're feeling. And then they share this moment that's like, but I haven't found that person. If it doesn't, some dads do it. Some dads will just turn around. They'll get close and they'll whisper in your ear and they'll talk to you. You're mic'd up. Mics pick it all up.
Yeah.
So cool. But most of the time, like I said, 99% of the time, they're gonna turn around. They might have a facial reaction. They'll hug and they're gonna look right at the photographer and start taking pictures. Photographer, all right, Dad, just give her a hug again, but take a photo. Boom. Moment's over. You know what happens after that? They walk away. Dad starts talking to her. My goal is to put all that into the film. So I would love to get JPM Weddings to a point where, as a company, that's the standard. And we've got directors and filmmakers who are comfortable with knowing when to do it, when to, okay, nothing happened here. Let's chime in. Let's try to motivate something, you know? And so until I get there, that's what keeps me in the driver's seat so much.
Yeah, so that's just really finding another A player.
Yeah.
You know,
not just one. We need an army of them.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
if you want to scale.
If you want to scale. And I don't think I ever want to have like a JPM Weddings Texas and JPM Weddings New York. Like I want it to kind of be like Apple. Like Apple is Apple, right? We don't associate Apple with its location. We just know Apple for Apple. And I want JPM Weddings to just be known for, like when I want to get a wedding videographer. Oh, you should get that one company that does it like reality shows. JPM Weddings. That's what I want people to represent or recognize the brand as.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think the Academy is kind of like, that's the starting point. Yeah. Like everybody that's in there right now, that's passionate, they're learning. I think we give it a little bit longer. We start doing some job shadows. Yeah. We'll start building this army, and I could see it where it's like we got this production studio that has 10 to 15 employees. We've got a creative director. We've got editors. We've got our colorists. We've got this brand now that's got the process down to a science. And then we're doing our interviews and our stories, and we've got a team that's doing it where it's not just all riding on one person.
I might need to check out your academy. It's so cute. I'm so curious about it.
It's dope, man. It's dope. We're starting some new stuff in there. I realized a lot of stuff I need to be teaching is the editing part, so we're starting with some editing stuff.
Okay.
But it's definitely it's grown over the last year. We started it last April, and that I feel like that'll be. But even that, at some point, I'm gonna have to take myself out of it. It'll end up being something that someone in the academy evolves into running.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep myself from, like, as much as I want to grow other things and like build these businesses. It's like I'm trying to almost do it like with that Kevin Hart mentality. It's like I want to pick it up, but I don't want it to just be me.
Yeah.
Like I want to be affiliated with it. Like he's got his different brands, his the vodka brand, or the tequila brand, stuff like that. So I want it to be very similar, but I just want to use the name, image, and likeness to promote. Not every single event I got to be there. Every single trade show I got to be there. Like I don't want that.
Yeah. Earlier you said something about, you are trying to get like a real authentic emotional reaction out of certain scenarios in weddings, and then photographer steps in. Speaking of photographers, because your stuff is so elaborate, I am so curious on your experiences working with photographers.
Honestly, man, as ironic as most people think it is, I think it's probably way easier for us now than it ever was. Because like I said, the stuff that I'm filming, weddings are designed to be picture perfect. That's just on paper, your wedding is going to be beautiful. That's what we expect. That's what couples expect. And photographers, it's designed to be photo ready, Like we don't want to take a picture of you with your toes not done. Like, you know what I mean? Like, put your slippers on. Like, you know what I mean? So it's always in photo designed to look good and beautiful. Because of that, there's a big gray area that we live in of the chaos. Like that's what makes the video is the unplanned stuff, the commotion and the scrambling for your deodorant right before you line up to walk down the aisle. Like that's the part that goes in the video. Where's the photographer for that? Waiting for the ceremony to start. Cocktail hour. We're doing interviews with your guests during the family and stuff like that in the cocktail hour. Where's the photographer? Doing family portraits back at the ceremony. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like we don't really bump heads because 9 times out of 10, whatever I'm filming, you don't even want as a photographer. It doesn't, like you might shoot over my shoulder, like, but do you really want to get a shot of somebody doing an interview just sitting there? Like they're not smiling, they're not posed, they're not, their arm isn't sitting in a way where, you know what I mean? Yeah. So like most of the stuff that we're shooting, they're not as focused on because it's not as, it's not photo ready. It's not a photo moment.
Okay. So, but like, what about ceremonies? It's just normal stuff. You just stay out each other's way.
Yeah. Well, because we run so many cameras too. Like I usually tell photographers, I'm like, do your thing. We'll figure it out because we got, most of the time, like 5 to 6 cameras going. We got 2 people, 3 people on moving around. So if you stood in front of one angle, then 9 times out of 10, I'll just be on the headset like, yo, hey, grab that angle. Photographer's in front of the second cam.
I always thought that was dope. When I saw you using headsets, I'm like, bro.
That was like the start of it.
That's awesome, man.
We got the headsets, and that was like an instant level up. I'm like, man, how was I filming for 3-4 years? Because before we'd be like, like trying to get attention, and now you just, hey yo, Sacred, right there on the right side, perfect.
I gotta figure out which headset you're using, man.
Dude, it's easy, bro.
Yeah.
It's easy, man. That was like the best way to film.
So we're kind of getting towards the end. So I want to ask a couple like personal questions. Well, first, before I even get to that, you were gonna ask me something. I said save it for the podcast. What were you gonna ask me?
Oh, I wanted to know how you built, like how did you build your social media? I thought that was dope, man. Like you got a following, and like how'd you navigate the growth part of it?
Bro, TikTok took off first, so I kind of explained that already. Started with the thirst traps. Those thirst traps. I got my initial thing with video is I fell in love from watching people like Sam Colder, bro. Do you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Bro, I fell in love with the travel space, and I'm just like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I want to do that. So I really fell in love with filming travel. So I still have it on my YouTube. I filmed in Thailand, and I filmed, my cousin brought me out to Egypt to film that experience when I got a little better. Still wasn't that good. And I'm like, yo, this is awesome, you know?
Yeah,
so I learned the skills through filming travel stuff, thirst traps, all that, whatever. And grew on TikTok. Again, I started speaking on camera, and that grew my stuff the most. But like when you're asking this question, are you asking how do I deal with the growth?
Yeah, well, I think more so like for example, I think our growth was accidental, you know? Like, were you trying to grow like a presence on social media? Were you trying to be this social media phenomenon, or like how did that evolution happen? Like when things started taking off on TikTok, like what was like how did you continue pushing? Like how were you growing at that time? Like,
okay, so I think since 2012, man, I knew social media would be big. I didn't know how to tackle it. Yeah. So I tried all types of stuff, bro. But with TikTok, I tried it the first time, and it didn't work. I'm like, I got 10,000 on Instagram. TikTok doesn't work. My sister grew from 0 to like 10K in like 2 days.
No, dang.
And I'm like, wait, if she can do it,
I know I
can do it. So I actually went on YouTube and typed in how to grow on TikTok. And from that point, it was intentional.
Okay.
That point, I learned, okay, what's the algorithm like? You know, what works, what doesn't, what do trends work? Is that what I need to do? So I was just really trial and error with that, with trends and all that stuff. And once I started taking off, it's been intentional to grow a personal brand, because I didn't know how it would be valuable in the future, but I knew it would be valuable for something.
Yeah.
So, but just like the whole Kevin Hart thing, I know that the bigger the brand, the more valuable whatever you touch is. So I just knew there's value in that. So yes, it's been very intentional. TikTok took off first. They introduced Reels to Instagram, so I was able to actually grow with that. And then finally, YouTube's growing as of like
I saw a post. I think you either had a post up or it might have been a story.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit like the 20K mark. 20K mark.
Yeah, bro. Even having like 800K on TikTok, 560 on Instagram, YouTube was still a different beast.
It was just like YouTube. Even for us, man, it's just like I can't figure out. Really, I'm just better. I feel like a lot of the content that YouTube wants you to make, like say I'm gonna do a product review on like the A1. I feel like that product review, it don't need to be 30 minutes long. Yeah. And I don't want to watch a 30-minute video.
Neither do I.
Like I want to know, infomercial. Let me know like in a minute, like, yo, is this the tool or not? Like, and I feel like a lot of people, they just make these videos. That's what YouTube wants. YouTube wants time on the platform. And so I don't think I make good long form content. I think my area is just I'd much rather tell you all the perks about something right now in 45 seconds, and then you decide if that's something you want to keep exploring.
That's interesting. So I think my sweet spot for, because I've looked at so many camera reviews, so many. Again, I told you I learned how to use this thing on YouTube. So I looked up what's good framing, what's aperture, what's shutter speed, all that. So of course I don't need it to be 2 hours, but 10 to 15 minutes is good for me.
It's a good time. Yeah,
it's good for me.
Like tutorial stuff is different. Product reviews, I feel like if you're teaching me a process, cool. I want you to elaborate.
Yeah, but even
I think YouTube for me is more school than like I go there to like, oh, how to do drywall. Cool. I want you to explain it. Like I'm in class, like teach me, Yeah. But it's like you're about to review the best drywall knife. That don't need to be 10 minutes. Like you should be able to tell me within like 30 seconds if this is a good like tool or not.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Especially for certain items. But I know for the A1, I want to know everything about it. Yeah,
Well, but that's different. It has a lot of parts.
Yeah.
Like there be companies that'll send me a tripod and they're like, "Yo, we want like a 15-minute YouTube video." I'm like, "Bro, it's a tripod. Yeah. Like it's great. It's reliable. Cool. Move on."
Right.
Like I'm not gonna watch a 15-minute video on a tripod.
Oh, okay, so the companies even want you to make it longer.
So, some companies will want us to do a YouTube video, and we'll agree to do it. Like we'll make it for certain products. Yeah. But usually, we just do short form. I'm like, look, like I had a company send us like a bunch of SD cards and stuff, and I was like, nah, I'm not about to make a 15-minute video on a memory card.
It works.
Right. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like it's reliable.
It fast.
Works. The cost to megabytes or the cost to gig ratio is really good. What else am I going to say? You know what I mean? Like what else can I say? It's like, I'm going to review this rug.
Yeah.
It's black and gray and it fits in a nice like 8x10 room.
Yeah.
There's nothing more to say, So yeah. That's dope.
I did a review on this rug.
Did you?
Yeah.
For 15 minutes?
No, it's like a minute.
See? Exactly. I was about to say, like, you did 15 minutes. I was about to go look it up.
Hell no, bro. There's no way.
What? I was gonna ask you this
before you ask me that. I'm actually glad that, and I need to do a better job at actually setting that tone and expectation. It's probably with the iPad. When I originally started this podcast, my one reason for doing it, well, couple reasons. One, I want to get better at actually speaking. Again, I'm an introvert naturally, so I want to get better at speaking just on the spot. Two, I really had a lot of inspiration from Joe Rogan and what he had said about someone asked him, how do you choose your guests? And he's just like, I just want to be interested in talking to them. So I really want it to be more of a conversation, and then I come out here with an iPad and I start asking you questions. So it's so okay for you to ask me questions, bro.
Dope.
Yeah.
No, that's. I mean, honestly, like it felt good to me. I didn't feel like I was being like in an interview, Yeah. So, but no, I did want to ask because I find a lot of inspiration from, like I said, like the Cons deal, right? Like business, obviously that business just didn't evolve, which is why I think that it ultimately went through bankruptcy and is closing.
Yeah.
But I love to know how other people, and especially with like the influencer side, like those with a following, because I'm new to this. Like people see my numbers and they think I've been doing this years. Like this has only been like a year and a half that we have been booming. And so it's very new, but it's rapid growth. It's like coming into money quick. Like you get a lump sum of money, you blow through it so fast that you're like, dang, I just went through all this money. I got $5 now. Yeah. Same thing. So I'm still trying to navigate. But like, what's your plan when it's all said and done? Like, what's like your exit strategy? Have you thought about that? Or like, if you weren't doing the podcast no more, or you couldn't do it, content and stuff was over for you, what's that thing that's going to be feeding you and the family?
I'm still kind of in the same boat that you're in. When it's really thinking about what the different exit strategies can be. But I know you said the podcast, if the podcast isn't working, that the podcast is actually one of those thoughts.
Really?
I can talk when I'm 80.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Yeah. If I build this up enough, I can talk when I'm 80. To be able to show up and just have conversations with people and learn from them and have my audience learn
like
from them.
David Letterman stuff too with celebs, and it's just... combo. Yeah,
absolutely. So this is one, and but yeah, I'm still thinking. I know you said that you're kind of new and it's like coming into money. I'm decently new too. I'm decently new at this too, man. So I'm still trying to figure it out. And like the audience will look at us and be like, "Yo, they got their shit together."
It's like I'm making a lot of mistakes, and I'm like, I shouldn't do that again. Don't do that, you know.
Yeah. One thing, one of my friends, Jeff Jenkins, he has a show on Disney Plus. He's in the travel space. He told me, bro, all you got to do is be one step in front of your audience, and you're the expert.
Dang, yeah.
That's it. But sometimes that's all I am is one step ahead, dog. You know what I mean?
Barely. Like my stride is short, but I'm there.
Yeah. So it's at this point, I'm just continuing to grow the brand, and still just figuring out what's calling. But you know, the next step for me is a community that I've been really working on. I wanted to have it out sooner than now, but you know, I've gone back to the drawing boards because I really want it to help people, and my community is going to be doing what helped me the most. Yeah. Speaking on camera. Teaching people how to speak on camera, specifically with short form content. Because if a dude that prefers not to say anything in a crowded room can do it, I think anyone can do it. And it's just finding your voice, you know?
I feel like a lot of people, even when I'm teaching, like we did our boot camp.
Yeah.
And basically the whole camp was teaching people how to be a director. A lot of people thought they were going to show up and it was going to be how to film a wedding. And we didn't even talk specific about shooting a wedding. It was all about how to direct for basically 8 hours. And so the first thing that we did was...
Hold up. Your boot camp is in person?
It's in person, yeah. Well, my academy is virtual. Okay. And then we did the JPM boot camp, which is like...
It's like a higher ticket offer?
Yeah, well, it's a workshop. But I didn't... Okay. So here's my thing, right? I feel like all the terms and the things that people are using today, I don't want to use. Okay. So I don't want to use things like masterclass and course and workshop and stuff like that. So I thought of a way like what would be unique to how I'm going to teach. Yeah. And it was a boot camp. Okay. So just like military boot camp, you show up and you go through a bunch of drills. That's exactly what we did. It was from the jump, it was setting the tone. And I was basically, first off, I made everybody that was an introvert raise their hand. And then those introverts, I put them in the middle of the circle. And I had everybody wrap around them and come in tight, like a swarm of bees. And then I made them smile, like super big, showing gums. Yeah. Anybody that didn't show gums, I got in their face. It was like, smile. Like, I want to see gums. Come on. And I made them, everybody did. It was like
a real boot camp.
It was. But what I was trying to do was I was trying to teach people, I told them being a good director has nothing to do with being introvert or extrovert. It's all about communication. If you can communicate, period. Introvert, extrovert, as long as you can communicate, you will be a good director. And because a lot of people hide behind the title, oh, I'm introverted, I'm shy. They hide behind that. Mm-hmm. I think it's just like any skill. At one point, you were really bad at, recording with your camera, right? You were really bad at it. Mm-hmm. But you practice and eventually you got good. It's the same thing with introvert, extrovert. The reason you're bad at it is because maybe you didn't go to daycare as a kid. Maybe you didn't get exposed. You know what I mean? Like, think about it, right? Like, maybe you didn't have a big family, or maybe you're an only child, so you didn't have a lot of social activity. Mm-hmm. So naturally, you were reserved. So you grew up as a reserved person. My dad was like this big, popular, like, dude, he knew everybody in town. Yeah. There just wasn't anybody he didn't know. So I grew up around a bunch of people I didn't know. I would go to his house, it'd be all kind of people. He got his friends there, they got kids. So I was always surrounded by different people. Yeah. And so I grew up under that, watching my dad be this people person. So I naturally just was a people person, like my whole life. I was never shy. Like, parents say, don't talk to strangers. I talk to strangers. I was just like that kid that didn't know that, these people will actually snatch you, And so I think as an introvert, it's just a skill you have to practice. You have to practice talking to people. And you will be uncomfortable and your heart's going to beat fast and you're going to be very, it's just going to be awkward. You're going to say some dumb stuff. But then at some point, that ship's going to turn around. You're going to be like, dang, I could do this all day. This is easy. Yeah. But you can still be introverted. Like you still might not go to the club or go to Walmart and just like put yourself out there in front in a group of people. But you can have a conversation. You can direct. You can now do a job, your podcast and stuff like that without feeling like this entire 2 hours is just like hard and uncomfortable.
100%.
So
yeah, and you're preaching to the choir. The whole reason I started this.
And that's why when you do it, it's like it's gold. I think majority of people we're introverts because we haven't practiced the art of being social, and now it's bad because these kids they don't even go outside and play kickball
with our devices.
Yeah, just like this is entertainment to them.
Yeah.
So you know it's gonna get harder because then you won't have these social skills. But if you practice it, you'll be good.
Yeah, it's so true. So, well, back onto my final questions. And I appreciate you actually asking me some. Again, I need to actually set the tone and let that be known at the beginning.
No, you're good. You're good.
What does it mean to you to leave a legacy? And how do you hope your work's going to impact others?
Man, I think, so I was also thinking of this at one point. I think a lot of this is inspired by like different Kevin Hart documentaries that I watched.
Yeah.
But the big one for me is I want to be able to, the deeper thing of why I love filming weddings is for that family element. I think they're, like when you lose people that you love, right? Like my dad passed away 11 years ago. And that was my best friend. And it just, boom, like that, it was over, right? And when I say it, when I tell people this story, they start to see things, even my couples, they start to realize how important it is to now get interviewed. Like at first it's like, yeah, we're gonna make a reality show of your wedding. Cool.
Do you mind?
That sounds fun.
You mind giving me that same story?
So basically like the way so my relationship with my dad, my mom, like I said, they divorced, but my mom and my dad was best friends too. Like for all I knew, they were married, they just lived separate. You know what I mean? Like that's how I felt. There was never a awkward moment. Like my mom and my dad would show up on my birthday. It would be at my mom's house. My dad was like, there was never a, you can do it here, then you got to go to your dad's. Like I didn't see that part of a divorced, parent. But so they were my best friends.
That's awesome.
They were very
both
active in my life. So I always like to start that way because when you think of like divorce, you think of like, oh well, your dad wasn't there or your mom wasn't there. Like it wasn't like that. They just weren't together. But anyway, so my dad's my best friend. I was 19 at the time, and I remember that day like vividly, bro. Like it was crazy. The day that it happened, or the night that it happened, me and my dad talked. He was a truck driver. It was the only job I ever knew my dad to have was a truck drive. And so he was on the road. He was coming back into town. And so that whole day, I was a store rep for a full service gas station. It was called Swifties in Kentucky. Basically, you would pull up. I would have to go out, pump your gas for you. It was all like full service. Okay. And so, and it was the only gas station like on that block. So we were just always busy. But all day in between, I would call my dad. And we never really talked that much. Like we would talk and probably have like a 20, 30-minute conversation and then might talk again later that night. That'd be it. But all day, because he was on the road driving in and he was trying to get in because he was tired. He was like, I need you. He used to call me Mush. He's like, Mush, I need you to keep calling me. That way I stay up. So just keep calling. I was like, oh, cool, Pop, I got you. This is easy. I was here 11 to 11. So, and he was like, that's perfect. I should be getting into town around 10, 10:30. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, cool. No, he said around 9 or 9:30. So I was like, cool, I'll just call you all day. It's perfect. So we're back and forth all day, cutting up, joking. I mean, my entire shift, right? He gets into town about 9:30. He's like, all right, I need you to call me. He's like, call me at about 11 or 12 when you get off because I need to make sure I'm up. So, because he had to get an early load. He's like, make sure I'm up. So you'll be my alarm. And I was like, all right, cool, I got you. We've been talking all day and then good convo, like I said. And that night I got off work. I was exhausted, bro. It was 11. I got to work at 10 a.m., like 10:30, and I was there all until 11. Closing routine. It was literally like midnight when I was getting in the car going home. So I'm exhausted. I get to the house and I was like, oh man, if I call my dad, he gonna talk for 20, 30 minutes, but I was tired. Like I was exhausted, bro. I was like, I don't feel like doing it. So I was like, I'm just calling him in the morning. get a text in the middle of the night, his girlfriend attacked him, right? She stabbed him 33 times in his sleep. So I carried a lot of guilt because I was like, damn, if I'd have woke him up, maybe he'd have seen that. Maybe he'd have been up, right? You know, so I carried that. But yeah, man, like I just remember that day as like we had some of the best convo, just laughing and joking. And then that night, it was over that fast, right? Like you don't think about it. You don't think of like my parents are going to pass away. Like we know life is inevitable. Yeah. But we don't go around thinking of this stuff. And so that was my first initial like slap in the face of reality. Like, dang, one superhero gone. Like that fast, right? And so I say that to my couples because I'm like, man, like the reason we really interview your family is because I know what it's like to lose somebody that I love and not have any media of that person. This was 11 years ago, right? So there was no Snapchat. Like I didn't have videos. I got like 2 voicemails of my dad. That's it. Like there's no, he was also one of them people that was just like, nah, I don't want to take no picture. Like my last picture with my dad, I was like 6 just because we didn't take pictures. Like he just wasn't a picture person. And so we didn't do that. And so like I didn't have anything to go look for. You want those memories. You always want the memories when somebody passes away. That's the first thing. Literally the first thing you do is you go find stuff that you have. And so when that happened, I just was like, dang, I don't have nothing, you know? Obviously, I wasn't shooting weddings at that time. But when I started getting into this and I started realizing how close families are from talking to them, I was like, dang, like this is what I could be giving people, is that chance to have that memory when it's over. And I won't tell them that directly, but I subconsciously know this is exactly why I'm going to make sure that I'm going to talk to your dad, your mom. I'm going to talk to these people. And ironically, dude, I just had a wedding last October and interviewed the mom. A super sweet interview, dude. And she passed in December, same year. Wow. Super, dude, I saw it on the groom's story and I was like, whoa. And like immediately he was like, man, do you have anything? And I was like, dude, I got you. And I put together like a 3 to 4 minute video from the first dance and like some of the interviews of her, like just like she said it. I make it a point to have parents say, okay, great. All I need you to do now is tell them how much you love them. You need to say the words, I love you. Because I would do anything to hear my dad tell me, I love you. Like even in the voicemails I got, he never ended it with, all right, love you much. All right, like I would love to hear those 4 words, I love you much. That would be everything. Like I would, just that little snippet, I would play that and then I'll be good to go. And so now when I film these weddings, it's intentional that I do that for people. And that's like the deeper reason. So the legacy, going back to your question, the legacy, like the thing that I want to be, to kind of leave behind, my hopes is that the amount of effort and energy I'm going into teaching the style and talking about why the slow-mo montages are meaningless is I hope that the industry shifts its mindset to start preserving these voices. Because it's one thing, it'll be cool to see, you know, you dance with your mom in a video. But I promise you, dude, like when you can't hear her voice, you're going to want to hear her say, I love you. Yeah. That I love you is going to be way more powerful than any video you have, any photo you got. And I got videos of my brother. Like we're dancing with my mom at my wedding, but like I don't have any audio of him. I don't have a real conversation that we shared. And that's where this style really shines. It's like my couples, they love it now, but it's like I know for a fact when something hits the fan and life happens, you're going to be able to look at this and you're going to start to watch this video in a whole different light. You won't even realize, dang, this is our wedding. You'll be like, man, I didn't even know he got this much commentary from my mom or my brother or this person or that person.
Yeah. So when you think about the impact that you've had on, you know, couples, like what emotions come to mind?
Joy. Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, man, like I know, you know, like I know that what I'm doing is stressful, it's exhausting, it's tiresome fighting with vendors trying to explain why we got to set up this light stand right here. Like they don't get it because the industry is not accustomed to that amount of creativity. They're used to the videographer that's going to be behind the camera and do what the photographer say all day, basically. And we're the opposite. We're like, look, I don't need the family portraits because I interviewed them. I did something that made sense for video. So the joy for me is that I know that this amount of effort for the families that I'm doing it for is going to be so much more beneficial later in life. If anything ever happens to a family member, they will have this video and the raw footage because I give all my couples raw footage.
You give them everything.
All of it. Because of the memory. Like I'm going to edit something that I think is creatively cool. But like I still got I interviewed your dad for 10 minutes. I only put 30 seconds in the video. You need to hear all that he had to say. So we give them everything. But yeah, I know that there's a lot of joy from that, knowing that I'm giving you as many memories as possible from a day that we got everybody together. Yes, you got married. It was dope. Even if you divorce, the footage and the interactions that you share is still going to be so much more valuable than just us getting married.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, I feel fulfilled in that regards, and I feel joy because I know that they're not gonna have the feelings that I have. Like, oh, I wish I had dialogue from my mom, wish I had this from my brothers. Like, they're gonna have that.
Yeah.
Whether they know it or not, they got it.
That's so real. That is. You have such a. You are so much more than just I'm a wedding filmmaker. Like the passion that exudes and just the thought process that goes behind the reason you do everything. It's so commendable, bro. That's awesome.
Thank you, man. It's a lot. There'd be days where like, you know, I get discouraged like everybody else, but I realize it's like, man, at the end of the day, if I could step away, I would love to know that we changed a big part of the wedding industry.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to go like a lot of the stuff that I do. I tell people this all the time. You don't need a red camera. You don't need all these lights and stuff like that. This is the creative part of me that's excited about making it look good. Yeah. But the fundamentals is interview and talk to people. Stop hiding behind your camera.
100%.
You're a director, whether you think you are or not. You got this camera in your hand. You're a director. Yeah. So go out and produce a story. Find that story. Yeah. And in doing so, you're going to capture way more memories that will mean way more to a family, not just a couple. But if that bride has sisters and dad passes away, all of them got this memory. Yeah. They all got his voice. Yeah. They all get to see him laughing and playing, right? It's not just about that couple getting married. So my legacy would be that the hopes would be that we change a lot of the thoughts and the minds behind wedding filmmaking. And we take that stigma of like, it's just a music video. We like throw that out, like get rid of that.
Mm-hmm. You know, I'm actually proud of myself because I figured that much out very early on in weddings.
Yep.
So
that's a music video.
Huh?
That usually it's a music video. Like
yeah, that I wanted more than that.
Yeah.
So you definitely have taken that to a whole nother level, which I commend you for it. But I've like from the very first wedding, I'm like, I gotta mic y'all up and I gotta figure out some other, you know, like I charged $500 for it.
There, he was like, nah, but I can't do this music video. We gotta do something different.
Yeah, I centered the story around them talking to camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yep. Because there's, just the whole music video thing, I just like, there's gotta be more than that. Yeah. From the very first wedding I filmed, I figured that out enough.
and we look at it too, like from my wedding, it's like we look at that video and it was nice when we got it, but now we're going on 7 years later and my wife's dad passed away, my mom's got dementia, and my best man passed away, my brother. So we look at that video now and they're not really in it. Wow. Like her dad walks her down the aisle and does the first dance. That's it. Nothing else. And the first dance is like 4 clips, right? It's like real quick, boom, 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 and we're done. My brother is only in it for like a snippet of the video where he's throwing the jacket over my shoulder and then him walking down the aisle with the maid of honor. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Wow.
My mom's in the video walking down the aisle with me and doing the first dance. That was it. Mm-hmm. But like I said, now my mom has dementia, so talking to her, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine if our videographer would have got an interview of her back then. when she's in her right mind and she can actually express her feelings and emotions, how much I would appreciate hearing that now, right? So I just think of like, I put myself into this situation. Like I've lost enough and gone through enough where it means more to me to make sure I get you memories and I can craft a story, which is why I don't care. It's like, cool, I need 5 filmmakers today. We're going to do it. Like, this is the day we got. But, you know, some couples like the one we did early August, they were 100% in. Like, they were for the whole shebang. Yeah. So we went crazy. Like, we had, I had 3 Academy members there. And we were nonstop the whole day. Yeah. And it was great because not only was the couple in it, every single member that was at that wedding, they were all like, hey, are you gonna interview us tonight? When can we get our interview? Like they were fighting to be on camera. That's like awesome. They were all invested in the idea of having this turn into like a full film and you know, have these interviews done. Yeah. So those are the weddings that I hope the industry gets to a point where it's like that. Because even the coordinator and the planner, they put me on the timeline. They were like cinema to do interviews with the family. Like it was like scheduled on the wedding timeline.
That's awesome.
So I was like, man, we're getting there. It's still not as common, but if we can get it to a point where enough people are prioritizing, you know, dialogue over slow-mo montage, then we'll start to see this shift within our industry.
Yeah. Yeah, but even going back to, you know, what you said about your dad and your mom specifically, I have a brother with schizophrenia, and just like you just made me think about like, yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of footage of him before that happened, because you know he was always he's on the spectrum, yeah, and so his normal is different, but I don't remember that guy anymore because after he got schizophrenia. Once you have that, you're on medication for life. There's no alternative. The alternative is you're probably going to kill yourself or someone else. Dang, you know what I mean? So it's just like, even just looking back, it's like, dang, it would be cool to just remember, you know.
It almost makes you appreciate like little things in life more.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like even with my kids, like now I want to record them, but I'm so caught up. Like when I sit with my daughter, I literally just sit with her. Yeah. Like sometimes it's just like I want to enjoy this.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that one day it's gonna be like I want to have this video or something like that, but like I'm waiting for their milestones so that I can fully have this created. You know, for us, like life events. Like I want to do a, you know, like birthday dinner, or we'll do like a Thanksgiving and we film that with the family.
Yeah.
And have that covered. And so it's just like I look at life now a little bit different because of that, but I also appreciate it more because of that too. Like I know like something might happen to me, and like what do my kids have of me? Dude, they got 100, 200, 300 videos all over Instagram. They got all this stuff on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they wanted to, oh man, my dad was so goofy. They got the goofy.
100%.
They got all of this. Like my dad was goofy, but I have nothing to show people.
Yeah.
You know, they have my voice. They have these items. And I've done videos where I talk to them. So like they have this stuff. But like I want to be able to be in the moment for them too. So like right now I want to be there with them. And, you know, I want to make sure if they ever look back, they'd be like, dang, Dad always like, he was working, but man, I didn't even realize he took care of this for us. He took care of that. Yeah. Like they'll have that type of, you know, those memories.
Yeah. I love that, man. I got 2 more questions for you, brother.
Yep.
So the first one is, 3. What advice would you give to someone who's afraid to take the very first step towards their dream?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna tell you to weigh it out. This is what I told my kids too, like the teenagers. I was like, look, I kind of had like a real talk to them, and I was like, look, you gotta want to push. You gotta want to, you know, chase your dream. But you also want to make sure that you chase your dream in a way that doesn't put you in a situation that your dream is now unreachable. You know what I mean? So like one of them, he's like, man, I really want to do football. And I'm like, I'm all down for that. Like, I love that for you. I was like, let's play this out. What if you walking down the stairs to go to the bathroom, you break your leg, slip and fall, break your leg. Now, what does your dream look like? Are you giving up in life, or are you chasing something else? You know, so I would say to my mom always said this: don't put your eggs in one basket, right? Chase it, chase your dream, but always have that. What if that doesn't play out? That's what fears me right now. It's like, what if film stops? Like, yes, I'm living in my dream, but I don't have the same thing I'm telling you as advice is like to chase it and to go for it. But I'm also saying have something as a nest egg. What is like, all right, I'm gonna fall back here if this doesn't pan out. Something hit the fan, this is what I'm gonna do. I don't have that. I have no idea other than like literally going and finding a job. I don't know what I would do if film suddenly stopped. Yeah. But my real advice is like chase it. Like we're in a society now that, dude, there is travel vloggers where they literally are paid, all expenses paid, to go places just to review it and make a video. So you can literally, like, skill and talent is not necessarily the only things that make you successful anymore, or education. Yeah. Like, you can turn just about anything into a passion. So my thing would be to push it, chase it, but also have that plan B. Don't go without a plan B.
I agree. Unless you like Kevin Hart.
Yeah. Like, I resonate with that. That's all I knew. Like, that's what he said. He was like, all I knew was comedy. Yeah. He's like, I didn't have nothing else. Like, school wasn't my thing. And I was like, I resonated with that. Like, I was a nerd in school, so school was definitely my thing. But going to college was like, that was kind of out of the equation. Yeah. Like, my parents weren't going to pay for it. I didn't have good credit to go get college loans and, like, you know what I mean? Like, my grades were good, but I didn't get, like, scholarships. Plus, where I came from, like, they really only awarded scholarships to the small percent of the students that were, you know, like, you're basically, like you knew you were getting a scholarship type of thing. Like, it just, the culture and stuff wasn't really setting us up for success, if you ask me. And,
100%.
The schools down here, like, when the kids go to school, and I'm like, y'all got wood shop, and you got all these, like, extracurriculars, like, you know. So I feel like all I knew was one thing. And so, yeah, I put everything into it, and it did pay out, right? I put my passion, put my heart into it. But I didn't quit my job at AT&T until it was already working. You know? Yeah. A lot of people will just say, screw it, I'm quitting, I'm going for it. And they're trying to figure it out. And my business was already bringing in the same amount that I was making at my job. So when I quit, there was no shift in our financial stress. It was just, all right, I don't have the reliability or the stability of a paycheck. Yeah, that's not, we don't got that bi-weekly Friday payout. Yeah. Now, if I stop working, there's no income. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's true. But I relate to the Kevin Hart also.
Dude, because it's powerful.
Yeah, man, just based off of everything, I told you already, I never resonated with the 9 to 5 as much. So the many good things. But one of the most important things that my dad has shown me, even more than has told me, mom and dad, is they gave me the space to go out there and do what I'm passionate about. I was never put in the box where you have to.
There's one road, you go down
take the specific road. Yeah. So that is the most important thing that they've ever done. So that gave me the power to actually go explore that. So, but with that said, there was no plan B for me.
Yeah. I feel like, if you have a dream, though, to be honest, like, I feel like no one has a plan B to a dream. Yeah. Like, I want to be an actor. Like, that's your dream.
That's going to gnaw at you till you die.
Right.
If you don't explore it.
You have to. And I feel like once you have a dream that's so solid, it doesn't have to be the career. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people, like, they just work. Yeah. And their dreams completely die.
100%.
And I feel like those are the ones that find it very difficult in life. Because you hate your job. You hate doing what you're doing. But then you don't even know what you would do if you had unlimited resources to do something else. Yeah. You don't even know what you would do. And so like, yeah, I'm a filmmaker, but if it stopped paying the bills and I had to go back into a 9-to-5, cool. I'm still gonna be shooting on the side. Like that doesn't mean that the joy and the love for it dies. I'm still, oh, cool. I got a solid job. If anything, honestly, a 9-to-5 don't sound bad right now because that gives me the flexibility to then have passion projects, right? I still got the income coming in, but now I can just go shoot and create stuff that I like doing.
Right, because the other side of entrepreneurship is, you know, when you have a 9-to-5, when you're done, you're good. For us, at all, it could be midnight. You might have to put out a fire.
I'm about to have to look in the car before I leave and check emails before I even start to drive home.
You're responsible for everything, yeah. Yep.
So you wear all the hats.
But that's when, you know, and I think you're doing this is you start figuring out, okay, how can I have this business work for me, rather I'm a slave to my business.
Yep.
You know, but so I was gonna actually ask you this, but I realized you had answered. I was gonna ask you. You know, what legacy do you want to leave for, you know, the future filmmakers? But you already answered that. So I want to pivot. And what's the impact that you want to have on the world when it's all said and done?
Oh, man. I think for me, honestly, is I would love to see more people just excited about what they do. Like, just in general, man. I sometimes, like, all right, here's a good example. We went to Foot Locker yesterday, right? I don't know if you got deals with shoe brands, but we can just blur that part out there.
I don't.
All right, cool. All right. So we went to Foot Locker, right? And this is actually a really good idea. We go to Foot Locker, and like, dude, I walk in the store, and I look over. Like, first off, with my niece, we walk in. Obviously, we was just browsing. Like, I wasn't really gonna buy her some shoes, but she wanted to see some Jordan. I'm like, cool, let's go. So we go to the store, walk in. The lady looks at us. Hey, welcome in. And I was like, thank you. And then I go to ask her, like, where are the Jordans? And like for her size, it was just like this, you could tell, bro. You could just tell she did not want to be there. Like she did not care to really help me, though she, you know, I was like, hey, where's the shoes? She wanted to look at some of the kids' shoes. She was like, for her, for you. And I was like, no, for my niece. She was like, all right, well, they over there. Like just, like didn't even like look in the direct. Like it was just like just waving me off type of thing. And I just feel like, I just feel like I would love to see people like where's the shoe nerds at? The people that are all about shoes. Like why aren't they working in here? You know? So I would love to see. I think my legacy of if I could go on stage and speak to people in terms of like inspiring them, it would be to find that thing that makes you really like excited about working. Like excited about doing it. You know, and I don't think a lot of people get, like you said, your parents gave you the freedom to be like, explore, man.
Go be a ballerina if you want.
We want to do, cool, we got you. Like my son's in orchestra. Like he's doing everything that I did when I was growing up, and I love it, like to a T. Like even just as ashy leaving the house, bro. Like I get on him.
You said just as ashy?
Just as ashy. Like, bro, I'm probably ashy now. Like, look, it's so funny to me because we share the same, like to us, like we don't care what people think about us, which is huge. I think a lot of people struggle with that in today's society. But he's just a kid. He does what he wants to do. He don't care about nothing else. Like he will do as nerdy as it is. He still plays with Legos. He's like as corny and nerdy as the world would look at him. I look at him and I'm like, dude, you're just like me. Like I love it. I tell him all the time, please don't change. Yeah. Like it does not. If you get a girl and she's like, that's lit, don't change. She's not for you. You stay rooted. Yeah. And I would love to inspire people to push into something that they love to do. Because even doctors, man, like we took my mom, like I said, she had dementia, and we took her to a psychologist. And this dude was like, a neurologist, my bad, wrong doctor, neurologist, to get a head scan. And this dude was just like, I mean, like we didn't get a chance to explain to him the situation. Like he just rude and fast, cutting us off. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. To you, we're just a patient. But this is my mom, you know? Yeah. And you would think that something in the medical field, they would have more compassion and stuff like that. But you see that all the time. Like, you go to the hospital, you see the people behind, you know, maybe they had a rough day. I don't know. I always give people the benefit of the doubt. But I feel like a lot of people choose it because of where we're at in today's society of needing to, you know, take care of our families. You know, a job a job is better to have than to be homeless.
Yeah.
Right? I don't care what it is. Oh, I'll go work at McDonald's. I might hate working at McDonald's, but if it's paying the bills, I gotta do what I gotta do. So, but I would love to see, like, I would love to almost inspire people and push them to finding that thing that they really love to do. Like, not be afraid to leave home. Like, a lot of people are afraid to leave their hometowns because this is where their family's at. You know, I would say push.
That's so real. I love that. So, like, if you're if you're a fish, go to the ocean, go to a river, go to a lake. If you're a panther, go to the jungle. If you're a lion, go in the safari.
It's always gonna be scary.
Yeah.
Like, I moved out and moved back in like 5 times before I found my wife. And then I think the last time I moved out, like right before I met my wife, I ended up evicted. I didn't have a car because I totaled it. Couldn't afford insurance, so credit was whack. I had just filed bankruptcy at 24, by the way. And that was like to me, that was the wake up call of like, all right, we need to start life over again. Mom said you can come back in. I was like, let me figure out, let me get a plan. And that's when I was like, okay, cool. I started doing video stuff. It was just a hobby. It wasn't really making money. But I cut off all the things that were negative in my life. I cut it all out. Anybody, my ex at the time was in my ear, was done. Like, I literally just was like, I'm done. No explanation. I was like, we're done. This relationship is done. I'm done with you. And that was that. And I cut out a lot. I didn't even have like situationships at the time. I didn't have no flings, wasn't dating around. Like, I was really just, like I said, trying to find myself and get there. And when I got the love for filmmaking, that's when I was like, okay, if we're gonna do this, you already been homeless, right? We can't ever be homeless again. You already been evicted. I mean, we can't be gambling with the rent money again. You know what I mean? Like, all this stuff that I went through started to suddenly make sense. So it was like, cool, I can love filmmaking. I can go for it. But I'm going to do it when God tells me this is the right time. I'm not going to just quit my job and try to go find clients and build a business. Like, I don't even know what I was doing at the time. Yeah. So I just kept doing it. I kept practicing, got good at it. And then when I started booking weddings and stuff that, you know, I think I got to like $4,000 a month. Once I made $4,000 a month and I started doing it like month after month, I started realizing like, dang, if I'm only doing this on the weekends, but I'm still spending 40 hours at AT&T Sprint, you know, I'm like, what if I didn't have that? And then it started offsetting. It was like, okay, well, now I'm at $5,000 a month. So I'm making $1,000 more than I was making at AT&T. So I was like, if I put those amount of hours into this, how can I grow that? You know? So that's kind of like, that kind of goes back to my advice. That's why I said that. It was like, if you just jump out, you might put yourself in a real tough situation. But if you can do it when the time is right, and you'll know because you're not forcing it. A lot of people know that they're forcing it. Yeah. You'll know when you don't have to force it, and it's a clear, like I was making $1,000 to $1,500 more. It was a clear sign that if I quit, we would still be good as long as I kept doing at bare minimum what I was doing. Yeah. And so, it was a clear sign. So that would be, I think that answers it.
Yeah, 100%. That is such important advice for people to learn. I mean, to hear, because again, not everyone can just quit and boom, I'm gonna be successful. Yeah. Most of the time, it does not work out that way. Yeah. So it's
gonna be some hurdles. It's gonna be hard.
Yeah, but man, it's been so freaking amazing sitting down with you. You actually have really inspired me, man. Like, just the sheer passion that you have for everything, for your line of work. When I decide to get married, I'm going through you, bro, and I really hope that some people in my audience do too, because you can feel it through this interview, man.
Appreciate you, man. I love it, dude. Like I said, filmmaking is my passion, and I think the excitement for weddings is trying to uncover why. You know, so it all ties in together, but I love it. I do. Yeah. That's why I think that might be the problem. Now that we had this talk, I think that's the problem, bro. What? There isn't a plan B. Like, I should stop looking for the plan B, because like this is it. Like this, you know, like you said that, like, you know, this is the dream. This is what my dream was. At 100%. One point, I wanted to. Now, when I was at AT&T, oh man, it'd be dope if I just did this full time. I'm living it.
Yeah.
And so I think now what I should be planning, instead of like, not necessarily the exit, it should be the growth. Nope. I think I just figured it out.
You
bro.
did.
I think this talk literally got me to see that it's not the end. It's not the end that I'm trying to plan for. It's the growth of the company.
Yeah, Justin. I don't know if you see it, bro, but you got a hundreds of $1 million brand in just you alone, and just you as a person. But you just keep just putting the work in and fostering your business and growing it and loving it, man. Like, yes, 100%. I see that it can be it.
I think this is it. That might be like the scariest thing to me, is not knowing what's next, because I've always had a what's next. Like, I always knew that there was something higher that I'm reaching for.
Yeah, could definitely just be doing more of this.
Yep.
More of this. And bro, I mean, this thought keeps running through my head through the interview. I know I gotta end it, but I don't know, bro. I somehow see you doing something big on TV.
That is a goal.
I see you doing something, whether it's like you behind the scenes or you have your own wedding show where you actually can show all sides of the coin.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
We definitely have talked about that. And maybe that's what it is, like, of the what's next. I don't think the what's next is me getting out of, quote unquote, the driver's seat for what we're doing now. I think it's advancement in film, period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm here in the wedding space and I love it, right? But like, I feel like there's an advanced like thing that could happen that could take it a step further. Yeah. Like, maybe I get the Kevin Hart wedding that I get to film. You know, something like I get that next step that really challenges me as a director. Yeah. And I think that's going to be the thing where I'm like, all right, this is more my speed now. This is where we're at. The TV thing is crazy because I know you said about the end, but we have talked about that. I have so many different like kind of rough draft outlines for what I would want to produce. And I do think a love show, I think I could produce a love show if there was like a pilot budget allowed. Like, I think I could put on something that could go neck and neck with like The Bachelor. But more real.
Do you know how to even do that?
I have no idea. Like pitches and stuff, no idea.
Okay, so I don't either. But I do know someone that does. So I'll connect y'all.
Yeah.
I got a friend that's got a couple of shows on Amazon.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, dope, dude. Yeah. Like, I feel like the idea is there. It's solid. It's just obviously like getting it to happen. This is what I was gonna do next year, actually. And I was going to, I think I told you this in the car, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember if I just said this to you or somebody else today.
What?
All right. So basically, next year, what I was going to do, because I was trying to slow down in weddings to, you know, speak more and do more workshops and stuff like that. Yeah. I wanted to put together my own. I was going to completely fund it. Like, this was going to be me chasing the dream. Like, whatever it costs, I was going to do it. But I was going to basically find 3 couples. I was going to search for. I was going to put out like a casting call and be like, we will basically fund the entire production, and then add money to enhance certain parts of it. So like, we would want like, for example, 3 different couples, 3 different backgrounds. One couple, I don't know if I want to put this out there because the idea is solid and I don't want somebody to steal it. I might have to tell you this.
Oh yeah, you can.
I gotta tell you this.
All right, so we get it there.
Yeah, we're gonna end it there. Yeah. Like, boom. Like, use your imagination for the. I just realized, I'm like, hold up, man. You got a lot of followers. Like, there's a producer watching that's listening. Like, hey, that's the next idea. Like,
yeah. No,
the idea is solid, man. And I was basically going to cast. And I was going to put out floaters. I was going to have like a whole, just like if you wanted to sign up for The Bachelor, like they do a whole questionnaire. Yeah. You got to send in a video. Like, I was going to do it just like that.
Yeah.
Until I found specifically the couples that I knew I wanted to film.
Okay.
And then we were going to film their story. And in exchange, in that contract that we signed.
Are you still telling them more, or does that matter?
No, I'm not telling more.
Okay,
This is the idea. I feel like this is how they do it on TV because in the contract, the producer and the show owns the media. So like if you go to a TV show and you're like, yeah, man, I don't want you to put that part of me saying yada, yada, yada in the film. Like it's not up to you.
Yeah,
it's
100%. That's exactly how it is.
So I would have it that way. That would be defined, but they would get a full film, like 100% paid for, whole production's paid for, and then be a part of this pitch. But I was going to basically cast for it next year because I was I think that is the next thing that I want to do is like full on produce and direct. I think I'm ready mentally for it.
You're going to do it.
Yeah.
You're going to do it.
I'm ready for it, bro.
You're going to do it, bro. I'm so excited for you, man. It's been good, bro. Appreciate you coming out.
Of course, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro. This is dope.
We out.
This is the Sacred Thomas Podcast.
Wake up, get out the sheets. We came from our mouth to get that piece.